you're seeing occurred 3,000 meters below the surface in the freezing waters of Greenland. A heavy thud, a humanoid hand, and speed that defies physics. This wasn't a camera glitch, it was a classified encounter. But this creature is just the tip of the iceberg. Today, we open the full case files on the titans of the Antarctic and the sounds that shook the Pacific. Buckle up, because after this, the ocean will never feel safe again. This is the Greenland submersible anomaly. In 2013, a high-pressure vessel captured what marine biologists call a biological impossibility. It's a primate-like creature evolved for the abyssal zone, slender arms, webbed hands, and eyes adapted for total darkness. What's terrifying isn't just its look, it's the intelligence. In the uncut footage, the creature doesn't just swim by, it reacts. It strikes the viewport not out of curiosity, but as a warning. It possesses a level of strength and underwater agility that makes a great white shark look slow. So why isn't this in every textbook? Reports suggest that within 48 hours of this recording, the research vessel was intercepted by a military task force. Data was seized, the crew was silenced, and the finding was labeled as Marine Anomaly 147 to prevent what officials called societal panic. They don't want you to know that we aren't alone in the deep. But the Greenland incident is part of a much larger, darker pattern. From humanoid giants drifting beneath the Antarctic ice to predators that have haunted sailors for centuries, the evidence is mounting. Let's dive into the 5 most documented sea monsters that people swear are real, and the proof that suggests they might be right. They were just scanning the icy waters of the Antarctic, routine patrol, nothing unusual. But then it appeared. A white, human-shaped figure. Gigantic. Limbless. Silent. It hovered just beneath the surface, almost watching. And then, without warning, gone. No boat. No trace. Just ice. And questions. That's what the Japanese crew swore happened. And to this day, they insist. We saw something that shouldn't exist. The Ningen, the human of the ice. Japan's National Fisheries Agency never intended to become part of a cryptid conspiracy. But in the late 1990s, strange stories began leaking from classified ship logs. Crews assigned to Antarctica claimed they'd spotted a massive white humanoid drifting beneath the ice. Not a whale, not a seal, a humanoid. They called it Ningen, literally human, in Japanese. Eyewitnesses described it as 20 to 30 meters long, with a featureless face, tiny eyes, and even what looked like arms. But here's the kicker. It moved like it was alive. Not a machine. Not a hallucination. One crew allegedly tried to capture it on sonar. What they found made some believe it was hiding in undersea caves below the ice shelf. In 2007, a photo leaked online, a blurred, pale figure beneath the ocean, its form strangely symmetrical. Debunkers called it a hoax. But deep-sea researchers? They weren't so sure, because that image closely matched a sonar anomaly recorded by a private expedition in 2010 in the exact same region. And here's where it gets creepy. That area is restricted now. No independent vessels allowed. Cadborosaurus, the Pacific Phantom. Next, we head to the waters off British Columbia, rugged cliffs, cold seas, and something ancient that locals call Caddy. Short for Cadborosaurus wilsey, this serpentine creature has haunted indigenous oral traditions for centuries. But it's not just legend. In 1937, whalers pulled a carcass from a sperm whale's stomach off the coast of Naden Harbor. It had a long neck, a horse-like head, and undulating fins. The men photographed it. They even gave it a name, Cadborosaurus. Biologists were baffled. Some claimed it was a fetal whale or a malformed eel, but the proportions didn't match. And this wasn't a one-time sighting. In fact, over 300 documented reports of Cadborosaurus exist, most from sober, experienced mariners. In 2009, a fisherman near Alaska released a short video clip. It shows several long-bodied creatures swimming just beneath the surface. One raises its head, elongated, almost reptilian.
That ain't no seal.
The fisherman mutters. The footage went viral. Cryptozoologists dissected it frame by frame. Still unresolved. Some marine biologists now theorize Cadborosaurus could be an undiscovered species of giant eel or a relict Mesozoic reptile. But if that's true, why hasn't one been caught? 2 monsters, 2 continents, one thing in common. No one has ever proven they're fake. So what do you think about this beast? Are we just projecting myths into the sea? Or is something truly ancient still watching from beneath the waves? Let me know in the comments. You've met the icy humanoid lurking in the Antarctic, and the sea serpent said to haunt the Pacific Northwest. But we're not done. Now we head to deeper waters, where the legends get more aggressive, more bizarre, and more documented. What if a sea monster isn't a lone creature, but part of a hidden species? And what if one of them left behind evidence so terrifying the U.S. Navy tried to shut it down? Let's dive into the next 3. And buckle up, this gets darker. The Lusca, the beast of the blue holes. The Bahamas are known for paradise, turquoise waters, white sand, and deep, vertical underwater caves called blue holes. But local fishermen avoid them. Why? Because something lives inside them. They call it Lusca. Half octopus, half shark, some say even part dragon. It's described as having tentacles longer than a man, a gaping circular mouth, and the ability to drag full boats underwater without a trace. We heard screaming, one survivor recounted, but when we looked, the boat was gone. Nothing left, not even bubbles. Most scientists scoff. They blame rogue currents or aggressive groupers. But that doesn't explain the 1971 dive incident when a team of cave explorers in Andros Island reported being attacked by something in the black depths. One diver vanished. His body? Never found. In 2013, drone footage captured a massive shadow moving just below the surface of a blue hole. It was wider than a school bus and appeared to have tentacle-like extensions. Was it the Lusca? Or just a massive squid caught in the wrong place? Either way, no one's explored that hole since. The Newfoundland lobster, the monster that washed ashore. In 2001, the coast of Fortune Bay, Newfoundland, was hit by a storm. The next morning, something grotesque washed up on shore. It was massive, bloated, covered in grayish-white tissue. No eyes, no mouth, just meat and tendrils. Locals thought it was a dead whale, but marine biologists weren't convinced, because when they cut into it, they found no bone structure, no skeleton, only fibrous, stringy tissue that didn't match any known marine animal. They called it a globster. Globsters have appeared throughout history, mysterious sea carcasses that defy classification. But the Newfoundland case was unique because of one detail. It contained high concentrations of copper and nickel, metals not naturally found in whale flesh. Whatever it was, one analyst said, it had a biology we don't understand. In a twist, 2 weeks after samples were sent to a lab, the results were suddenly inconclusive. The files vanished from public records. The lab denied ever receiving them. But a whistleblower later released internal emails referring to the creature as Marine Anomaly 147. What happened to the samples? No one knows. But some believe the globster wasn't just a carcass. It was evidence of a species the government doesn't want us to find. The bloop, the monster you can't see, but can hear. In 1997, the U.S. National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, picked up something strange on their underwater microphones. It was a sound so loud, it was heard over 5,000 kilometers apart across the Pacific Ocean. They dubbed it the bloop. At first, scientists thought it was ice shifting or an underwater earthquake. But when they analyzed the waveform, one thing became clear. The sound pattern was biological, which means something alive made it. But here's the twist. No known sea creature, not even a blue whale, could have made a noise that powerful. The bloop originated near Point Nemo, the oceanic pole of inaccessibility. It's the farthest point from any landmass, and it just happens to be where the deepest trench systems on Earth converge. Some speculate the sound came from a colossal animal rising from the abyss. Others, they think it's still down there. In 2005, NOAA reclassified the bloop as likely caused by ice quakes. But marine biologists weren't convinced, because 2 years earlier, a second bloop-like sound was picked up, this time near the coast of South America. And then nothing. The system went silent. To this day, no visual contact has ever been made. But deep-sea mapping has revealed strange, symmetrical trenches in the area, almost like something massive moved along the seafloor. Could it be a giant cephalopod, a leviathan, or something even stranger? Each of these creatures comes with sightings, stories, and in some cases, tangible evidence. And yet, not a single one has been officially recognized. Why? Is it scientific caution, or something more deliberate? The legends of the Ningen and the blue prove that our imagination can barely keep up with the shadows of the abyss. But sometimes the most terrifying evidence isn't a giant monster, it's a biological anomaly that actually exists. As we move deeper into our classified files, we encounter a creature that seems to be made of glass and nightmare fuel. Discovered at depths where the sun is a myth, this is the Macropina microstoma. Look at this image. What you are seeing is not a lens flare, not a trick of the light, and not an artistic rendering. That entire structure is the fish's head, and that dome is transparent. It is a fluid-filled viewing port, and beneath it, those twin green spheres are its eyes. This is the Macropina microstoma, and is evolution's biggest mistake, a terrifyingly efficient one. The Macropina shatters every expectation we have about protection and vulnerability. For every other organism on Earth, the brain and the sensory organs are encased in bone, shielded by rigid armor. But the Macropina is different. Its entire cranium is covered by a soft, clear, gelatinous dome. Beneath that delicate shield, you can visually track its entire brain, its optic nerves, and its elaborate muscle structure. This is not a fish. It is a meticulously engineered optical mechanism. This animal is not merely surviving. It is a perfect ambush trap, and its design has been perfected over countless millennia in the shadow zone. The Macropina's true genius lies in its sensory apparatus. It does not possess eyes in the common sense. Instead, it has two massive, bright green tubular eyes. They are fixed, almost cylindrical scopes of extreme density, designed for one purpose: light collection. In the deep ocean, the only light comes from the faint bioluminescence of other organisms, or the extremely diffused ambient light from the surface, the downwelling light. If a fish with a clear dome for a head and rotating green scopes for eyes is just the beginning, imagine what else is waiting in the depths below. We just saw one of the rarest fish in the world, and this is just the beginning. Imagine what's coming next. Now it's time to move on to creatures that should be extinct. One of them is over 66 million years old and still swims in our oceans. Get ready, because these are the 8 sea creatures that should be extinct but are still swimming. This is the countdown of impossible biology, ordered from the merely strange to the utterly terrifying. Let's begin. Number 8, the vampire squid. We begin our technical countdown with a creature that embodies the ultimate strategy of deep-sea defense, the vampire squid. This is not a hunter of the abyss. It is the living nightmare of defense, whose design has remained unchanged for nearly 300 million years, tracing its roots back to the Mesozoic era. The scientific name of this creature is Vampirotuthis infernalis, literally translating to the vampire squid from hell. And its appearance lives up to the name. It is a small, soft-bodied cephalopod that exists in the oxygen minimum zone, a layer of the ocean so deprived of oxygen that most other life cannot survive there. This is its perfect, uninhabitable sanctuary. Its genius lies in its defense mechanism, which is not speed or venom, but absolute visual terror. When threatened, the vampire squid uses its 8 arms, which are connected by a dark, cloak-like membrane, to pull its mantle completely over its head. This maneuver turns the creature into a spiny, red-eyed, jet-black ball of pure intimidation. Its body is lined with bioluminescent organs that it can flash to create dazzling, disorienting displays, confusing predators instantly. Crucially, the vampire squid does not waste precious oxygen, reserves fighting or fleeing. It remains still, cloaked, using its low metabolism to outlast the threat in the oxygen-poor water. Its perfection is found in its simplicity, a creature so well adapted to its deadly, low-oxygen niche that the competitive pressures that drove other cephalopods to evolve were simply irrelevant. Its design was perfect for its domain from the start, making it an ancient, silent sentinel of the dark zone. The vampire squid masters defensive terror in the darkness. But our next monster is a haunting reminder that the greatest terror often comes in the form of an inescapable, gaping maw, a biological black hole whose design is a testament to the simplicity of ancient predation. Hey, subscribe now. Number 7. The Gulper EL. Our final introductory creature is a testament to the extreme evolutionary pressures of the deep, the Gulper eel. This is the jaw of absolute necessity, a monster whose terrifying, unhinged design has been perfectly preserved since the earliest oceanic eras. The Gulper eel, or Sacopharynx, is an inhabitant of the bathyal zone, an area where food is desperately scarce. Its existence hinges on one single, devastating biological feature: its monstrous, hinged mouth. The Gulper eel's jaw is disproportionately huge. It can unhinge and stretch so wide that it can swallow prey larger than its own body. Its tiny body is simply an appendix to its colossal, elastic maw. This creature's design has not changed because in the harsh environment of the deep sea, the ability to consume any possible meal that appears is the ultimate survival strategy. Every meal is a massive risk, and the Gulper eel is built to capitalize on that risk entirely. Its huge dark mouth, lined with tiny backward-curving teeth, operates as a biological black hole, guaranteeing that no encounter is ever survived. Furthermore, its skeletal structure is incredibly light, almost vestigial. It saves energy by reducing bone mass, dedicating nearly all its material resources to the massive jaw and the expandable stomach. This is a creature where evolution decided that maximum capacity was the only metric that mattered. It is an ancient design that is both fragile and devastatingly effective, a living testament to the ruthless economics of the deep. The Gulper eel proves that when the simple act of eating is a battle for survival, the most perfect design is often the most monstrous. If creatures like the Gulper eel were the perfect, specialized consumers of the deep, we must ask, what was the absolute, fundamental base layer of survival that all life, even in the shallows, relied upon? That terrifying foundation is our number 6. Number 6, the horseshoe crab. We begin our journey into deep time with the simplest, yet one of the most resilient, designs in biological history, the horseshoe crab. This is not just an ancient creature, this is the tank of 450 million years. The horseshoe crab's lineage dates back to the Ordovician period, predating dinosaurs, trees, and even most land life. For comparison, it was alive when most advanced life forms were simple fish and corals. And here is the terrifying part. Its design has never fundamentally changed. Its massive helmet-like carapace, its array of 10 simple eyes, and its spiny tail, or telson, are a testament to perfect, armored survival. This creature has survived all 5 of the planet's mass extinction events. The asteroid impact that wiped out the dinosaurs? The horseshoe crab simply shrugged it off. It is an armored relic, a living fossil whose longevity proves that simplicity and robust defense often trump complex evolutionary arms races. Beyond its ancient armor, its biology holds another secret: blue blood. Its copper-based blood, containing a specialized clotting agent, is so effective at fighting bacteria that it is now essential to modern medicine for testing the sterility of vaccines and surgical tools. Its internal chemistry is literally worth millions of dollars. The horseshoe crab is the ultimate armored survivor, so successful that humanity relies on its ancient biology for its own survival. If the horseshoe crab is the tank of evolution, a creature whose armor outlasted everything, the next organism is the ghost. A deep-sea nightmare that separated itself from the shark lineage before the dinosaurs even existed. Number 5, the ghost shark. Next, we descend into the cold, black depths to find a creature that looks like a forgotten mythological beast, the chimera, often called the ghost shark or ratfish. This is the phantom of 400 million years. The chimera is a relative of modern sharks, skates, and rays, but its lineage branched off from a main shark family tree over 400 million years ago. This creature existed in the Devonian period, the age of fish, long before the first reptile crawled onto land. It is the very definition of a living fossil. Its appearance is pure nightmare fuel. It possesses an elongated, grotesque profile, often with a pointed, cartilaginous snout that gives it a strange, ghoulish face. Its 2 large, luminous green or black eyes are perfectly adapted for collecting the faintest light in the abyssal zone where it lives. Instead of the overlapping scales found on sharks, its skin is smooth and rubbery, giving it an ethereal, phantom-like quality. The chimera's unique features, such as the large, venomous spine located in front of its dorsal fin and its tapering, whip-like tail, demonstrate that the basic architectural plan for deep-sea terror was perfected during the Paleozoic era. It didn't need to change its design because its dark, crushing habitat never did. It is a creature that proves that the concept of the ghoulish, deep-dwelling terror was written into the evolutionary blueprint 500 million years ago. It is a silent, perfectly adapted sentinel of the eternal night. We have seen the impenetrable armor and the silent, ghoulish phantom. But the next creature is a terrifying hybrid, a monster that proves ancient terror often hides behind the most deceptive form. Direct from the Jurassic period, we present a monster that confirms the reality of sea serpents. Number 4, the frilled shark, Chlamydocelicus anguineus. Our number 4 spot is a creature whose existence reminds us that the monster myths of sailors are based on a chilling reality, the frilled shark. This is the serpent of Jurassic gills. This creature's lineage extends back at least 150 million years to the Jurassic period, a time when massive marine reptiles ruled the shallow seas. The frilled shark's body structure is what makes it a living fossil, an elongated, eel-like body that allows it to contort and strike like a snake. It is a terrifying biological anomaly that resembles the sea serpents found in medieval illuminated manuscripts. Its most notable feature is its 6 pairs of frilly gills, which surround its neck like a terrifying collar, giving it its name. But the real horror is inside its mouth. The frilled shark possesses over 300 backward-facing, needle-sharp teeth, arranged in 25 rows. These teeth are not designed for cutting flesh. They are designed to act as a perfect, inescapable trap. When a frilled shark strikes, its elastic jaw snaps shut, and the inward-pointing needles of teeth ensure that any slippery prey, squid or smaller fish, can only move one way, deeper into its throat. It is an ambush predator perfectly adapted to strike in the darkness, ensuring that once a meal is caught, escape is a biological impossibility. The frilled shark is a terrifying testament to evolutionary inertia. Its design was so effective for hunting fast, deep-sea prey that the pressures of extinction simply bypassed it. It swims today deep in the dark, a living reminder that the monsters of maritime folklore are very much real. These 3 are the warm-up. But what comes next is the irrefutable, catastrophic proof that we know nothing about the ocean. We are now entering the zone where science breaks, where extinction fails, and where creatures literally walk out of the fossil record. The story begins with the monster that humanity declared officially extinct. But first subscribe to Beastflix now. Let's keep going. Number 3, the coelacanth. The most famous failure of extinction, and our first truly impossible monster, is the coelacanth. This is the dead creature that walked, a colossal failure of the geological clock. The coelacanth lineage dominated the shallow seas during the age of dinosaurs, peaking during the Cretaceous period. Scientists believe that this lobe-finned fish, the ancestral blueprint for every land-walking vertebrate, had been annihilated along with the dinosaurs 66 million years ago. Its bones were fossilized, its history concluded. Then came the discovery in 1938. Off the coast of South Africa, a fishing trawler pulled up a massive, bluish fish that defied all known biology. It was the coelacanth, alive and swimming. The scientific shockwave was immense. It was the biological equivalent of finding a living Tyrannosaurus rex in the jungle. Its discovery instantly invalidated decades of evolutionary theory and opened the door to the wildest cryptid theories of the deep. The true horror of the coelacanth lies in its lobe fins. These muscular, bone-supported fins are the ancestral blueprint for the limbs of all land animals. The coelacanth uses them in a slow, alternating motion, giving it the appearance of a fish that walks along the sea floor. This slow, deliberate movement is a relic of the transition from water to land, perfectly preserved in a deep-sea environment that never changed. Its existence proved that the oceans are the ultimate sanctuary, capable of hiding and sustaining creatures that the rest of the planet assumes are dust. The coelacanth is the 66-million-year-old ghost of the dinosaur era, and its survival guarantees that other, extinct monsters are still out there. If the coelacanth is the ghost of the dinosaurs, the next monster is the biological alien. It is so bizarre, so pink, and its hunting mechanism is so physically impossible that it simply does not look like it belongs on this planet. This is the shark that doesn't bite you. It literally shoots its face at you. Number 2, the goblin shark, Mitsukurina ostoni. Our number 2 spot is a creature that truly looks like a nightmare pulled from a void, the goblin shark. This is the projectile nightmare of 125 million years. The goblin shark's lineage dates back to the early Cretaceous period, making it a living relic whose bizarre design has not changed since the age of the giant marine reptiles. Living in the deep bathyal zone, it has evolved into a creature that barely resembles a shark at all. Its physical appearance is grotesque. Its skin is a soft, flabby, sickly pink color due to the visible blood vessels beneath its transparent skin. Its snout is a massively elongated, flat blade that extends far beyond its jaws, resembling a fleshy pickaxe. This strange snout is covered in sensory organs, allowing it to detect the faint electrical fields of its prey in absolute darkness. But the most terrifying feature is its projectile jaw. The goblin shark is an ambush predator. When it detects prey, its jaw muscles contract with incredible speed, launching its entire upper and lower jaw structure out of its mouth and forward toward the prey. This mechanism, capable of speeds up to 3 meters per second, allows the shark to snag prey without moving its body. It is a biological harpoon gun, a perfect ambush design that never needed to evolve because it was already flawless for its deep-sea hunting environment. The goblin shark is a testament to the fact that when a design is perfect for its niche, time ceases to be a factor. It is a truly alien, grotesque spectacle, a creature that proves the absolute depths of the ocean hold life that is far beyond the nightmares of the surface world. We have reached the absolute pinnacle of our list. The number one spot is not the creature with the most massive jaws, nor the most famous predator. It is the most terrifying monster because of its sheer simplicity, resilience, and success. It is an insect that has survived every single era. This is the final design of survival itself. Number 1. The giant isopod, Bathynomus giganteus. The absolute monarch of evolutionary stability, and our number 1 living fossil is the giant isopod. This is the final survival, the armored insect. The giant isopod is not a shark or a fish. It is a massive crustacean, essentially a colossal, deep-sea relative of the common terrestrial pillbug or roly-poly. Its lineage extends back to the Cambrian explosion, making it an ancient arthropod, a true relic of the deep. This creature's size is horrifying. It can reach lengths of over 70 centimeters and weigh nearly 2 kilograms. It looks precisely like a gargantuan, armored sea cockroach. But its terror is not in its size, it is in its perfection. The giant isopod is the ultimate scavenger and survivor. It lives in the crushing pressures of the abyssal zone, where food is scarce and competition is minimal. Its body is covered in heavy, segmented, calcareous armor that makes it almost impervious to attack. Its metabolism is incredibly slow, is known to survive for years without feeding, simply dropping down to the sea floor to feast on the massive carcasses of whales or fish that fall from the surface. Its design has not changed because it achieved ultimate survival efficiency over 250 million years ago. Patience, armor, and the ability to feast on the remains of others, this perfect, horrific simplicity makes the giant isopod the most successful, most enduring monster on this list. It is the final word in resilience, a living, armored insect that laughs at the face of every extinction event that has ever occurred. If confronting these deep-sea survivors made you look twice at the water, then this expedition is far from over. Hit that subscribe button to Beast Flicks now. We've seen the silent ambushers and the forgotten survivors. But the ocean always builds something bigger, something that feeds on fear itself. What happens when the abyss gives birth to predators so powerful they actively challenge the greatest shark in history? Next, the true titans of the sea, the beasts that make Megalodon tremble. We all know the name Megalodon, a magnificent, enormous shark. A legendary predator, yes, but its size was actually average next to the true sea monarchs. Megalodon was a predator. The creatures we will show you were gods. They were massive, impossible engines of destruction operating in an ancient ocean built on an entirely different set of physical laws. Their existence changes everything we thought we knew about life on this planet. We know that you clicked on this video because you believe the biggest animal on Earth is the blue whale. 30 meters long, 200 tons of muscle and blubber. It's the largest creature alive today. It is the peak of planetary size. But here's the problem. This animal is an insect. It is a soft, delicate snack, a mere piece of plankton compared to the absolute, terrifying titans that ruled the ancient oceans. We are not talking about simple big animals. We are talking about biological impossibilities. Let's begin the countdown of the 4 greatest titans that prove the blue whale is nothing more than a soft target. Titan number 4, Leadsichthys. To begin the true scale of terror, we must first determine the biological maximum of the ancient sea. We need to find the largest creature the water column could possibly sustain. This benchmark is set by a creature that was not a hunter, but a vast, moving monument of life, the great filter feeder, Leedsichthys problematicus. This creature existed in the Jurassic period over 165 million years ago. Its nearest living analog today is the whale shark, a massive but harmless filter feeder. But the size difference is staggering. While the modern whale shark tops out at around 12 to 18 meters, the Leedsichthys dwarfs it. The fossil record of Leedsichthys is famously fragmentary and difficult to analyze. Its skeleton was largely composed of cartilage, a soft tissue that rarely fossilizes well. This fragility meant that only the densest bone structures and specialized tissues, like the immense gill rakers, survive. Initial, cautious estimates placed the length of this fish at 16 to 18 meters. But as more fragmented fossils were discovered and accurately mapped, a disturbing pattern emerged. The curvature and thickness of the preserved gill rakers, the filtering apparatus essential for its survival, suggested a fish of truly unprecedented girth and length. Paleontologists were forced to radically recalculate the dimensions, eventually confirming that the largest individuals reached estimated lengths of 27 meters. Even more shocking, serious, peer-reviewed estimates, based on the growth rates of its vertebral structures and extrapolations from its massive skull plates, push this creature potentially beyond the 30-meter mark, comfortably exceeding the absolute maximum length of the largest recorded blue whales. But its size alone is not the horror. Its size reveals the ecological engine of the ancient world. Leedsichthys was a massive bony fish existing in warm, shallow, highly productive seas. Its massive size was not for heat retention like the blue whale. Its size was a direct necessity of its environment. It required that impossible bulk simply to house the gigantic internal filtration system needed to process enough plankton to sustain its life. It was a 40-ton, constant-moving, living filtration factory, proving that the ancient oceans contained a reservoir of biomass exponentially greater than anything we observe today. Think about the sheer gravitational pressure of its existence. It was a massive, slow-moving, defenseless meal drifting through the water column. It was a colossal, soft-bodied organism that was incapable of any meaningful defense against attack. Its presence demanded, guaranteed, the evolution of an equally massive, overwhelming predator. If a creature of this scale could exist merely to eat, what was the scale of the horror that evolved to eat? Leedsichthys, the gentle giant, is the living benchmark of ancient ocean possibility. It proves the water could sustain this impossible size, validating the structural integrity for larger, denser organisms. But every massive buffet requires an executioner. The next monster was a cold-blooded, absolute king that looked at this easy meal and saw only its right to consume. The ocean always finds a way to balance the scale. The next creature was a biological executioner that made the sea its eternal kingdom. Hey, do you want to see more monsters? Subscribe now to Beastflix. Titan number 3, Basilosaurus Isis. While Pliosaurus funke represented sheer brute force, the history of the ocean's gods includes a chapter dedicated to terrifying, calculating intelligence. We must look to the Eocene epoch, approximately 40 million years ago, to find the creature that redefined cunning and efficiency in marine predation, the Basilosaurus Isis. The Basilosaurus was, technically, an early form of whale, but do not mistake it for the gentle giants of today. This was a serpentine engine of hunger, a creature whose body stretched up to 20 meters in length. It was long, slender, and hydrodynamic, perfectly adapted for immense speed and agility in the warmer, shallow seas that preceded the modern ocean. Basilosaurus was not the densest titan, but its horror lay in its method and intelligence. Its elongated, almost eel-like body structure allowed it to move with a speed and flexibility that defied its immense size. Unlike the Mosasaurus, which relied on overwhelming force, Basilosaurus relied on tactical, strategic terror. Its skull was relatively large, housing a sophisticated brain for the time, and its teeth were the perfect evolutionary compromise, large, pointed, and sharp at the front for piercing, transitioning to powerful, jagged serrated teeth at the rear for shearing bone. Paleontological evidence, specifically bone beds in the Valley of the Whales, confirms its dietary specialization. It hunted the juvenile forms of other massive ancient whales, including the giant Dorodon. Basilosaurus systematically destroyed the next generation of its competitors. It would use its speed and agility to penetrate the nursery lagoons, separating and destroying the vulnerable calves before the massive adults could react. This was not a mindless chomp, it was a calculated campaign of ecological control. The Basilosaurus represents a different flavor of ancient terror, intelligent, persistent, and specialized destruction. It demonstrates that the ancient ocean demanded not only raw power, but also strategic genius to survive. It was the great serpentine shadow that taught every other creature the ultimate rule. No place, not even the breeding grounds, was safe. Its reign was a persistent, decade-spanning horror that solidified its place as a god of strategic predation. Its eventual extinction was due to massive environmental shifts that favored shorter, bulkier whale bodies for diving. But for millions of years, this serpent of intelligence was the most feared sight on the horizon. It proves that terror in the ancient ocean came in many forms: overwhelming crush, absolute dominance, and cold, precise tactical slaughter. It was the serpent king of the warm shallows. But as the oceans changed and the world moved toward the Cretaceous, the serpent was replaced by a more massive, more structurally powerful lizard that became the true, absolute monarch of the deep. Titan number 2, Mosasaurus hoffmanii. The Jurassic passed, giving way to the Cretaceous, and the biological balance shifted from passive size to aggressive dominance. The new monarch was not a fish or a whale, but a colossal, hypercarnivorous reptile, the Mosasaurus hoffmanii. This animal was the Armageddon lizard, a creature of total, absolute command. It did not rely on the simple length of lead signals. Its structure was built for dense, relentless aggression. Its average length ranged from 15 to 18 meters, but unlike the streamlined, relatively light blue whale, Mosasaurus was pure muscle and heavy bone. It was a hydrodynamic missile, a powerful, serpentine body built for short bursts of overwhelming, brutal violence. The scientific literature confirms its status as the unquestioned apex predator of the Cretaceous. Its head was a massive, reinforced weapon, housing teeth that were not designed for tearing flesh, but for shearing through bone and armor. It was an opportunistic killer with a terrifyingly broad diet, including giant ammonites, large fish, sharks, and the massive, armored turtles that survived the earlier eras. But the most profound horror lies in its feeding mechanics. Mosasaurus possessed two terrifying adaptations that guaranteed the destruction of its prey. First, the double-hinged lower jaw, similar to a terrestrial snake, allowed its mouth to open far wider than its skull suggests, enabling it to swallow massive chunks of prey whole. Second, deep in its throat, it housed a second set of inward-curving pterygoid teeth. These teeth acted as a living ratchet, constantly gripping and dragging the massive victim down toward the digestive system, making escape literally impossible. Imagine the encounter: a modern blue whale, for all its immense mass, is a warm-blooded, air-breathing mammal with fragile jaw and skull structures. The Mosasaurus would launch itself, using its dense, powerful tail and flukes, and clamp down with a vice-like grip on the whale's neck or massive tail flukes. It would use its dense musculature to maintain a grip, preventing the whale from reaching the surface. The massive pressure and the ratcheting action of the pterygoid teeth would lead to structural failure, drowning, and absolute consumption. The blue whale would be utterly overpowered by this dense, cold-blooded engine of war. The Mosasaurus lineage ruled for millions of years with an efficiency that eliminated ecological competition. It was the absolute, final word in marine reptile evolution. Its extinction was not a slow decline. It was a violent, instantaneous cessation caused by the Chicxulub impact, which destroyed the ecosystem it needed to survive. Mosasaurus was the king of length, density, and ruthless biological ingenuity. Established dominance through structural perfection. But before the rise of the Armageddon lizard, there was a king that taught the ocean the final lesson, the lesson of unfettered, crushing power. A creature whose weapon was not merely its bite, but the raw, instantaneous force behind that bite. This is the creature whose existence truly proves the blue whale is structurally weak, a delicate collection of bones waiting to be instantly pulverized. Titan number 1, Pliosaurus funke. We travel back to the ultimate moment of oceanic terror in the late Jurassic, where the undisputed master of pure power reigned, the short-necked pliosaur, known by its chilling scientific and popular names, Pliosaurus funke, or simply Predator X. This creature was not designed for length or speed. It was designed for maximum kinetic energy delivery. It was an armored torpedo, built like a swimming tank with a massive, reinforced skull constituting nearly 1/5 of its total body length. While its estimated length of 10 to 12 meters made it shorter than both the Mosasaurus and the blue whale, its weight, girth, and density were phenomenal. Its entire compact structure, powerful, short neck for massive flippers, and robust vertebrae, was dedicated to generating and channeling energy into one single, catastrophic point: the mouth. This is where the science becomes truly terrifying. We must confront the most horrifying number in the world of paleontology: the bite force calculation of Predator X. We know the blue whale has no teeth. The great white shark manages around 4,000 psi. The megalodon, the shark we all fear, generated up to 40,000 psi. The Pliosaurus funke, analyzing the size of its jaw adductor muscles, the thickness of its skull, and the size of its mandibular hinges, generated an estimated bite force of an astronomical 50,000 to 70,000 psi. This figure is conservatively projected, and in reality, may have been far higher. This immense pressure is difficult to comprehend, but it had one devastating, singular purpose: instantaneous, complete structural collapse. A modern blue whale, for all its mass, would be instantly dispatched. Predator X would not need to chase or wound its prey. It would simply clamp down on the whale's skull, the massive spinal column, or the ribcage with a single, massive force. The 70,000 psi impact would instantly shatter the bone structure, causing immediate death through hydrostatic shock and structural failure. Its teeth, massive, blunt, and triangular, were not designed for tearing. They were designed for piercing and crushing the heaviest skeletons of the era. The blue whale, in the presence of this animal, is not a meal, it is plankton. Its entire 200-ton body mass is reduced to an easily digestible slurry of bone and blubber. Its existence is undeniable proof that the Jurassic oceans were so competitive and so populated with massive, armored prey that the ultimate survival strategy was to evolve a jaw capable of delivering a single, guaranteed kill. Predator X was the perfect biological engine of destruction. This perfect, compact design also forces us to consider the existential question of its disappearance. The pliosaur's structure, dense bone, massive muscle, and high-pressure capability is perfectly suited to withstand the deep ocean. Unlike the shallow water-dependent megalodon or the massive mosasaurus, the pliosaur's bulk and metabolic needs could have allowed it to retreat below the critical depths. You are now 40 minutes deep into the Abyssal Archives. We've analyzed the legends, but now we move into the physical evidence. The following reports involve sightings by naval crews that were never meant to reach the public. Stay focused. The scale of what comes next will change your perspective on the deep forever. The Titans are real, but you don't need a submarine to find the evidence. The deepest trenches are now discarding their mistakes directly onto our shores. We have compiled the chilling, raw proof. Next, the unclassified terrors and unsolved cases of the monsters washed up on beaches. For decades, the true terror of the deep was locked away in abyssal trenches, far beyond the reach of light and man. But now it is localized, is under your feet. The currents are shifting, the deep is dying, and the ocean is discarding its mistakes, monsters, errors, and biological nightmares directly onto your beach. The sea is sending you a warning. We are talking about biological anomalies so mutated, so bizarre, that they defy all known scientific classification. To prove it, we start with the most extreme evidence, the absolute climax of coastal horror, the classified creature of Venezuela. The only existing photograph of this nameless monster comes from a witness on a remote, jungle-choked island called Cayo Muerto, literally, Dead K. The witness, who vanished shortly after the discovery, left behind one single haunting image, a silent photo that captured a new, terrifying species. This is our journey. We are going to expose the most terrifying, unclassified biological anomalies ever documented on coastlines worldwide. We will show you the fish that walks, the crab that farms its own food, and the shapeless leviathans that prove something gigantic is dying unseen. Our ultimate destination is the creature from Cayo Muerto, the final, unnamed monster whose existence is only verified by that single, chilling, clean photograph. You must watch until the very end to see the full, terrifying story of the creature that science cannot explain. Let's begin. 1. The Yeti crab. We begin our exposure with a creature that looks less like an organism and more like a failed experiment, a biological mutant hauled from a toxic waste pit. We present the Yeti crab. This monster's normal habitat is thousands of meters down, near hydrothermal vents, volcanic cracks in the sea floor. These environments are high pressure, high temperature, and sulfur-rich, toxic to almost all surface life. But occasionally, due to thermal currents or massive tectonic shifts, specimens have been pushed into shallower, colder currents, only to be washed ashore, giving us a terrifying glimpse into its alien world. The Yeti crab is instantly shocking to the eye. It is completely blind, having lost the need for sight in the eternal darkness. Lacking all pigmentation, its shell is a ghostly, sickly white. The true horror comes from its signature feature. Its entire body, especially its massive claws and legs, is covered in dense, thick, blonde white setae, hair-like filaments. These hairs are not fur for warmth. They're specialized structures used to farm colonies of chemosynthetic bacteria. Think about that for a second. It literally farms its own food on its own arms. It harvests the energy from the poisonous sulfur compounds released by the vents, a completely alien method of energy production. This bizarre, white, hairy design makes it an organism that should not exist in any ecosystem we understand. It is a creature whose body is designed to survive in an environment that is pure poison. Its presence on the shore, dead and bleached by the sun, is a chilling reminder that the currents of the ocean occasionally drag these biological errors from their volcanic sanctuaries and deliver them right to your local beach. It is a warning from the deep. The mutants are closer than you think, and they live off poison. The Yeti crab proves the deep is full of specialized, hairy monsters. But the next creature is definitive proof that the sea is a laboratory of complete, bizarre contradiction. It looks like a ridiculous joke, but its biology is a masterclass in patient, bizarre lethality. 2. The red-lipped batfish. Our second monster is a perfect example of the ocean's terrifying, often ridiculous sense of humor. This is the red-lipped batfish, the fish that walks. Found primarily in the deep waters surrounding the Galapagos Islands, this creature occasionally washes ashore, presenting one of the strangest biological sights ever documented. Its body is flattened, armored, and covered in strange, bony protuberances, giving it an oddly triangular, rigid, almost disc-like shape. It is a literal pancake of evolutionary error. The first thing that paralyzes the mind is its mouth. The batfish possesses two brilliant, unnaturally red, pouting lips. They are so bright, so prominent, that it looks as if it were deliberately painted by a surrealist artist to mock the concept of a fish. But beneath the ridiculous appearance is a biological nightmare of patience. The batfish does not swim well. It is, in fact, an atrocious swimmer. Instead, it uses its specially adapted pectoral fins, which are thick, muscular, and look like stubby arms, to walk across the seafloor. It literally crawls across the sand and volcanic rock with a slow, deliberate gait, using its fins like terrestrial limbs. This locomotion method is a shocking divergence from the standard rules of fish biology. Its predatory strategy is equally baffling. It possesses an elysium, a lure that protrudes from its forehead. This lure emits a highly specific, chemical scent that attracts small prey, which it then ambushes. It is a slow walking trap. The contrast between its absurd, clownish face and its terrifying, patient predatory behavior makes it a perfect example of the ocean's ultimate disregard for aesthetic norms. It is a walking, brightly painted absurdity that is perfectly evolved to ambush, wait, and consume. We have seen the hairy mutant and the brightly painted walking fish. Now we confront the terrifying perfection of camouflage that lurks just beneath the shallow water, the monster you simply cannot see. 3. The hairy frogfish. We move from the obvious strangeness of the walking batfish to the terrifying perfection of camouflage that lurks just beneath the shallow water, the hairy frogfish. This is the master of deception, a monster that exists in shallow reef systems, right where you think you are safe, but is utterly invisible until it attacks. The frogfish lineage is ancient, but this particular species has refined the art of ambush to an apex level. It is a creature of pure disguise. Its entire body is covered in fleshy, hairy spines and filaments, giving it the appearance of a mossy rock, a piece of coral, or rotting algae. It uses this extreme camouflage to remain perfectly motionless, blending seamlessly into its background. The horror is in the realization that you have likely swum past dozens of these predators without ever knowing it. Its hunting method is brutally efficient. Like the batfish, it uses modified pectoral fins to walk or hop clumsily along the seabed. However, its signature weapon is the esca, a modified dorsal spine that acts as a fishing lure, wiggling enticingly to draw prey closer. When a fish or crab is within range, the frogfish executes the fastest bite in the entire animal kingdom. Its jaws expand and it can engulf prey in under 6 milliseconds, a speed so fast that the movement is impossible for the human eye to perceive. Furthermore, this creature is a gluttonous terror. Its stomach and mouth are highly elastic, allowing it to devour prey that is often twice its own body size. It is a small, waiting biological black hole that looks like a piece of furniture you should ignore. Its existence proves that the most immediate, unclassified threats are often the ones you simply cannot see. Did the hairy frogfish's 6 millisecond strike surprise you? Hit like and subscribe now. But our next creature is the pure, primal horror of the coastal rocks. A massive, hidden serpent that proves two jaws are always deadlier than one. For the giant moray eel. Our next case takes us into the dark, shadowed crevices and caves of the coastal shelf, the places where the ocean's raw, reptilian power hides. We introduce the giant moray eel. This is the nightmare of the crevice. Moray eels are already visually terrifying, with their massive, muscular bodies, lack of scales, and needle-sharp teeth. The giant moray, however, pushes this primal fear to its limit. It can reach lengths of over 3 meters and weigh up to 30 kilograms, giving it a heavy, reptilian presence in the coastal shadows. Its appearance is a direct link to the mythical sea serpents that terrify coastal folklore. The true deep-seated biological terror of the moray eel, however, is a scientific discovery that shattered our understanding of its predatory nature, the pharyngeal jaw. Unlike all other fish, the moray eel possesses 2 sets of jaws. After the main jaws clamp down, a second hidden set of bony jaws shoots forward from its throat, grabbing the immobilized prey and dragging it backward into its digestive tract. It is a biological horror movie, a predator that bites you twice in one attack. This dual jaw system gives the moray eel unparalleled gripping and swallowing power, perfect for dragging large prey deep into its rocky lair. When found washed ashore, their sheer size and terrifying double-jawed grin are a chilling reminder that the hidden caves and cracks beneath the safety of the dock are the breeding grounds for these powerful, primeval ambush predators. We have seen the camouflaged predator and the double-jawed serpent. Now we must confront the shapeless horror, the evidence that something titanic is dying unseen, leaving behind only an unidentifiable massive corpse. 5. The globster. The globster is not a specific species. It is a terrifying classification of dread. It is the shapeless beast, the biological garbage left behind when something truly massive and unclassified dies in the deep and is then carried by currents to the shore. Globsters are huge, amorphous masses of non-bony organic tissue, often bleached white, pink, or sickening gray, that wash up on shores worldwide. Because they lack eyes, skeletons, or identifiable organs, they defy immediate scientific classification. The sudden appearance of these massive, rotting forms has fueled centuries of cryptozoological theories, with some claiming they were the remains of gargantuan squid, unclassified plesiosaurs, or even ancient, unknown species of colossal whale. The real, paralyzing horror of the globster is its volume. These masses can weigh several tons, often requiring heavy construction equipment just to move them. If a globster is confirmed to be highly decayed blubber and collagen, a possibility confirmed in many cases like the famous Chilean globster or the St. Augustine monster, implies the death of a truly colossal whale or a species of shark far larger than the largest great white. The original organism had to be an absolute leviathan. However, the scientific terror lies in the uncertainty. Some globsters, due to their strange, highly fibrous composition and unique protein structures, simply cannot be identified through current DNA sequencing. They are filed as unknown protein matrix. This means that creatures of massive, unclassified size are dying out there, creatures that science has never seen alive, never named, and whose final, rotting remnants are now washing up on your beach. The globster is the ocean's perfect, silent proof that gigantic, unclassified life is expiring just beyond the horizon, and we are left only with its horrifying, unidentifiable corpse. The next monster we will show you is smaller, but its lethality is astronomical. It is a creature that defies the laws of chemistry, a biological weapon that uses stolen poison. 6. The blue dragon. Our next case proves that the most lethal terror often comes in the smallest, most beautiful, and most chemically terrifying package. We present the blue dragon, the sea slug of stolen poison. This creature is small, rarely exceeding 3 centimeters in length, but its lethality is astronomical. It is a pelagic sea slug, floating near the surface, where it is often washed up on beaches worldwide, where it resembles a delicate, iridescent blue and silver floating piece of jewelry. Its beauty is a distraction from its absolute capacity for pain. But this beauty hides a monstrous biological secret that violates the rules of chemistry. The blue dragon is immune to, and feeds exclusively on, the most lethally venomous marine life on the planet, specifically the Portuguese man-o-war. It consumes the jellyfish, but here is the terrifying part. It does not neutralize the poison. It steals it. The blue dragon extracts the man-O-War's potent nematocysts, stinging cells, and stores them in specialized sacs at the tips of its feathery, wing-like appendages. It concentrates this venom, making its sting far more potent and dangerous than the original jellyfish sting. This tiny 3-centimeter sea slug, often mistaken for a piece of plastic or a lost toy, is actually a walking, floating container of stolen, hyper-weaponized venom. It is an evolutionary parasite of pure pain. If you see this creature on the sand, do not touch it. It is often concentrated in areas where the wind and currents have pushed large groups of man-O-War. The blue dragon is a testament to the ocean's ability to create lethal monsters that are both chemically and aesthetically terrifying. A perfect, small-scale example of ultimate biological genius and cruelty. If the blue dragon's concentration of stolen venom astonished you, drop a like on this video right now before we look at the giant predator from the past. Now we must confront the final, overwhelming horror before the ultimate climax, the creature that connects the familiar beach environment directly to the terror of deep history. 7. The six-gill shark. Before we reach the ultimate, unclassified mystery, we must acknowledge the sheer, primal terror that swims in the deep edges of the continental shelf, the area just beyond the popular fishing spots. We present the six-gill shark. This is the living fossil of the shallow deep. The six-gill shark's lineage is truly ancient, tracing its roots back over 200 million years to the Triassic period, a time before the major shark families had fully diversified. This creature is a walking, swimming piece of prehistory. Its primitive body plan, marked by its namesake six-gill slits, most modern sharks have 5, is a stark reminder that the ancient ocean is still operating just beneath the waves. It is one of the largest sharks on the planet, capable of reaching lengths of over 8 meters and weighing over a ton. It is the perfect colossal shadow. While it lives primarily in the deep, abyssal plains, it is known to swim up to the edge of a shallow shelf at night, making it an occasional, terrifying sight near coastal drop-offs and large docks. Its specialized teeth are designed for absolute efficiency. The lower jaw contains massive comb-like, saw-edged teeth perfect for shearing and cutting through tough hides and thick bone. It is primarily a scavenger and deep-sea undertaker, feasting on the remains of other large marine animals. The terror here is existential. This gigantic, prehistoric, opportunistic predator is swimming in the darkness, waiting for something to die, or something to become vulnerable. When one of these six-gilled behemoths washes ashore, it is not just a dead shark, it is the physical realization that a creature built to survive the Triassic, Jurassic, and every extinction since is sharing the same water as you. It is the ultimate giant scavenger that connects the modern shore to the deepest, darkest evolutionary past. We have seen the ancient scavenger, the dual-jawed serpent, and the shapeless leviathan. But now, we enter the most extreme territory. The single, horrifying image from a witness who disappeared. The final creature defies all known science. Prepare yourself for the ultimate nightmare. 8. The monster of Cayo Muerto. The time for speculation is over. This is the ultimate climax of coastal terror, the ultimate nightmare of the Venezuelan shoreline. The story is pieced together from recovered metadata and chilling local reports. It begins with a lone individual, a photographer or researcher, visiting the remote, tiny island of Cayo Muerto, a location already steeped in unsettling maritime legend. The photographer noticed something unusual near the high tide line, a patch of what looked like bright red, viscous marine growth, similar to a massive, bulbous anemone. The unusual, vibrant color drew the eye, but the movement, the slow, deliberate contraction of the mass, is what triggered the camera. The photo that was ultimately recovered is the only evidence in the world of this biological anomaly. It shows a creature of absolute, disturbing biological absurdity. Its body was a thick reddish-pink, gelatinous mass, suggesting deep-sea pressures or rapid tissue expansion outside of its normal habitat. Its front was dominated by an unhinged suction cup mouth, reminiscent of a massive deep-sea holothurian, sea cucumber, but with one terrifying, crucial difference: a dense vertical row of small, sharp, forward-facing teeth. These teeth did not look like they were designed for shearing or crushing. They looked like they were specifically evolved for anchoring and holding, for ratcheting its massive body over prey, or perhaps over rock, to prevent the currents from sweeping it away. It is a design for absolute, tenacious consumption. The recovered metadata shows the final image was taken moments before the camera was dropped or abandoned. The device was later found, but But the camera's final images were the only record left. The witness vanished. Scientists have been barred from classifying this creature due to the singularity of the evidence. Possibilities range from an entirely unknown species of giant predatory holothurian that adapted a powerful toothed mouth to a highly mutated, unknown organism from the deepest trenches that surround the Caribbean plate. The horror is in the unknown. A new, terrifying species, perfectly designed for suction, anchoring, and concentrated holding, was washed ashore, observed by one person, and then disappeared back into the biological chaos, leaving only a single, haunting, and unclassified photograph. The sea gave us a glimpse of a nameless horror, and then it claimed its witness. Let me know in comments, what do you think this creature is? And hit that subscribe button to Beast Flicks right now. The beaches are merely the warning. If the ocean is sending us its dead and it's unclassified, it begs the ultimate question: what horrors remain at the source? Next, we descend to the final frontier, the Mariana Trench, and reveal the evidence of the apex predator hiding in the crushing darkness. The Earth is an old story, and we believe we have read every chapter. We map our continents, chart the air we breathe, and even send probes beyond our solar system. Yet there remains one single, terrifying place that holds the key to evolution's most monstrous secret. The Mariana Trench is not merely a deep spot on the map. It is the absolute limit of our world, a crescent-shaped scar stretching 2,500 kilometers across the western Pacific, where the pressure is a crushing 1,100 times that of the surface. We call the deepest point the Challenger Deep, but the evidence now forces us to call it something else: the sealed tomb. It is a biological prison that has paradoxically preserved a lineage that should have been extinct for millions of years. The most chilling records, buried in the vaults of naval acoustic programs and deep-sea research labs, suggest that the deepest parts of the planet are not a quiet void. They are patrolled. Something massive, something possessing a terrifying intelligence, holds dominion over the abyss. We are talking about an apex predator that survived the great oceanic extinction, a colossal hunter whose existence would shatter the timelines of modern paleontology. In the next few minutes, we will lay out the case. This is not cryptozoology, this is forensic paleontology applied to a living mystery. We will detail the 3 columns of evidence: the anomalous sound, the unaccounted for bite marks, and the geological sanctuary that transition this creature from a legend of the deep to classified ecological reality. Prepare yourself. The darkness is about to be breached. The human ear is a poor instrument for the ocean, but the U.S. Navy's SOSUS array and its successors were designed to listen to the world's deep water secrets. In the early 2000s, deep-sea hydrophones began recording a recurring, ultra-low frequency event emanating from the abyssal plains bordering the Mariana and Philippine trenches. This was not the famous, isolated bloop of the 90s. This was something different. This was the abyssal pulse. The pulse is a sonic signature so robust that initial analysis tagged it as a massive, distant seismic event. But repeated filtering and spectral analysis revealed a devastating truth: it was biological. It contained harmonic complexity, a layered rhythmic structure that could only be generated by a complex, pulsating organic system. Specifically, the pulse is a compound sound, a deep, subsonic moan that lasts nearly 4 seconds, followed by a series of high-amplitude snapping echoes, almost like colossal, resonating sonar pings. Let's talk about the physics of fear. Sound travels nearly 5 times faster in water than in air, and low-frequency sounds travel much farther with less dissipation. For sound to travel to thousands of miles, it was tracked from the western Pacific to hydrophones off the coast of South America. At a sustained intensity that cut through ambient noise, the creature generating it must possess a lung and vocal system of an unfathomable scale. We model the largest known sound producer, the blue whale, which can reach 150 metric tons and produce calls around 15 hertz. The abyssal pulse registers consistently below 5 hertz. This level of infrasound vibration requires a physical body volume, a displaced mass, that exponentially exceeds that of any modern whale. This creature isn't just big, it's a living engine. Its sound is the acoustic equivalent of a biological battleship announcing its position. Furthermore, the snapping echoes that follow the initial moan are equally significant. They are not simple clicks. They are high-amplitude, wide-spectrum bursts that suggest a highly sophisticated form of echolocation. This is not the simple ping of a toothed whale. It is a sonar system designed for navigation and hunting in absolute darkness, a system tuned to the crushing pressures of the deepest ocean. It tells us that this creature is an active, sentient predator, not a sluggish bottom dweller. Military acoustic experts initially attributed the sound to unclassified seismic sources, a designation used to mask unexplained, high-priority data. But internal documents reveal the persistent fear that the pulse is a territorial marker, a deep water challenge. What could challenge the sovereignty of an animal that size? Nothing. The pulse is simply a broadcast. This domain is mine. The sheer energy required to generate this call rules out all known deep-sea fauna, including the giant and colossal squid. It points to a vertebrate, a creature of immense muscular and skeletal scale. The abyssal pulse is the auditory proof of a massive survivor. That sound was a deep-sea shout across the timeline. But to prove it's a hunter, we need to look at its victims. We must examine the biological wreckage it leaves behind when the silence of the abyss is broken by a feeding frenzy. If the abyssal pulse is the creature's voice, the unaccounted for bite marks are its gruesome fingerprint. Deep-sea researchers, particularly those monitoring the health of migrating marine mammals, have a classified file of traumatic injuries on various species, injuries they cannot definitively attribute to any modern, confirmed predator. These attacks are not random. They show a pattern of massive, targeted violence. The primary victims are often the largest and deepest diving predators in the open ocean, particularly the sperm whale, cachalot, and the large-beaked whales. These whales are themselves apex predators, perfectly adapted to the mesopelagic and bathopelagic zones. Yet they surface with wounds that defy logic. We are not talking about superficial rakes from a small, frantic shark. We are talking about bone-deep, semicircular incisions that sometimes span a third of the whale's circumference. Analysis of the remaining tissue scarring reveals a jaw arc that consistently exceeds 3 full meters in diameter. The great white shark, the most feared modern predator, has a maximum confirmed jaw width of approximately 1 meter. This unknown assailant possesses a mouth 3 times that size, indicating a creature that could comfortably swallow a car. Crucially, the tooth pattern is inconsistent with any modern shark or whale species. While orcas leave tearing, irregular marks, and great whites leave the distinctive serrated slice, the wounds attributed to the abyssal apex are characterized by clean, precise, deep punctures followed by massive, concentrated compression trauma. It's the mark of a jaw engineered not for quick, repetitive biting, but for a single, overwhelming crushing strike. This suggests a dentition structure, thick, robust, and non-serrated, or perhaps bluntly serrated, perfectly suited for disabling the massive, dense skeletons of deep-sea mammals. This evidence strongly echoes the bite dynamics of the extinct Carcharocal's megalodon, the legendary giant shark. Megalodon teeth were built for bone crushing, designed to attack the toughest parts of its prey, like the rib cage or flukes of ancient whales. The teeth of the abyss predator appear to be a high-pressure, depth-adapted version of this design. But the most terrifying aspect of the bite mark file is the location of the attack. Many of these prey animals are encountered at extreme depths, often below 1,500 meters, in areas where the ocean temperature plunges and sunlight is non-existent. This confirms the attacker is not a transient surface predator. It is an abyssal resident that ascends on its own schedule, choosing prey based on sheer caloric density. One highly classified report details the retrieval of a deceased adult sperm whale carcass near the Palau Trench. The animal had been attacked from below, and the wound, a massive void in its lower abdomen, was ringed by marks that strongly suggested a bilateral attack mechanism characteristic of the lower jaw meeting the upper. In the wound cavity, lodged deep in the bone, a research submersible retrieved a single, oddly calcified fragment. Chemical analysis was inconclusive, but the size and density matched nothing in the modern biological database. It was filed under unidentified marine biota, type Apex Alpha. The marks are not only proof of the hunter, they are a direct line back to its ancient, colossal lineage. The surface world fears the great white, but the great whales of the deep fear something that comes from the ultimate dark. We have the sound and the scar. Now, we must understand the mechanics of the only place that could host such a terror, the trench itself. To maintain a body mass required to generate the abyssal pulse and inflict the crushing bite marks we've detailed, the creature needs a perfect ecological niche. The Mariana Trench provides it. It is not just a deep hole, it is a meticulously preserved apex sanctuary, a zone of absolute geological and thermal stability that served as a bomb shelter against global extinction. The key is deep-sea gigantism, a phenomenon we see replicated in many invertebrates in the deep. From the giant isopod to the colossal squid, organisms in the cold, high-pressure, food-scarce abyss evolved to be disproportionately massive compared to their shallow-water counterparts. Why? First, Kleiber's law dictates that larger animals are exponentially more energy efficient. At constant, near-freezing temperaturas, the metabolic rate of a massive creature slows to a crawl. The Megalodon abyssalis doesn't need to eat every day. It only needs to feed on a large caloric source, a single massive whale, perhaps once every 6 to 8 months. Its colossal bulk becomes a biological battery, storing energy efficiently and conserving heat according to Bergmann's rule, which favors size in colder climates. Second, the pressure is not a killer, it is a stabilizer. The extreme pressure of the Hadal zone below 6,000 meters actually promotes larger cell and protein structures that are less susceptible to the effects of gravity and physical wear and tear. This environment not only favors size, it promotes longevity. The creature likely has a lifespan measured in centuries, not decades, giving it a vast evolutionary advantage. Now consider the extinction event that killed the true megalodon, the Pliocene cooling period. As global temperatures dropped, the warm, shallow nursery grounds where juvenile megalodons thrived vanished. Their primary prey, slow-moving whales, were replaced by faster, deeper-diving baleen species. For a creature confined to the sunlit zone, it was a death sentence. But the abyss predator was already below the thermocline, the layer of rapid temperature change. It was already in the stable, 4 degrees Celsius environment. Its prey had adapted by diving deeper, unwittingly bringing themselves right to the trench's doorstep. As the surface world froze and convulsed, the trench remained stable, perpetual night. The creature didn't need to evolve into a new species, it simply needed to endure a slightly lower, more efficient metabolic rate, adapting its eyes for bioluminescence and its hunting methods for silent, deep water ambushes. It survived by retreat. The Mariana Trench, with its vast mineral-rich hydrothermal vents and its constant supply of chemical energy, provides an essential, secondary food web, the perfect, self-contained recharge station for a slow-moving giant. It is a world sealed off, a parallel evolution that we are only now beginning to intersect. The combination of all 3 facts is the complete picture of a horror movie made real. The abyssal pulse is its global reach. The unaccounted for bite marks are its biological proof. And the Mariana Trench is its unbreakable, silent fortress. We are not looking for a fossil. We are looking for an ecological sovereign whose lineage predates our own civilization. Its survival is a testament to the fact that on our own planet, the history books are incomplete, and the monsters are not all mythological. The realization is not simply that the megalodon, or something greater, may still exist. The terrifying implication is that we have unknowingly shared an ocean with a creature that has mastered the ultimate survival strategy, absolute concealment. Every time a submersible has neared the Challenger Deep, every time a research vessel has dropped its instruments, it has been in the domain of this creature. Was the famous biotwang, a noise initially dismissed as a bride's whale call, actually a warning flare? Was the slight metallic scraping reported by the Trias crew in 1960 merely a small piece of geological debris, or was it the sound of something immense brushing past the hull? The classified files are full of small, dismissible anomalies that, when viewed through the lens of a living apex cryptid, suddenly assemble into a mosaic of fear. The only reason we have survived its presence is that its prey remains abundant enough for it to stay deep. It is a creature of immense caloric need, but also immense metabolic efficiency. It only ascends to the twilight zone for the largest meals. Its behavior is a terrifying mirror of our own. Maximum impact for minimum effort. We are now on the verge of the next generation of Hadal exploration. New submersibles, rated to withstand the extreme pressures, will soon breach the absolute darkness of the trench floor with persistent, high-definition cameras. The time for denial is over. The time for myth is over. The moment is approaching when the classified file will become a global headline. And when that happens, we will learn the true meaning of the term apex predator. The Mariana Trench is not just the deepest place on Earth. It is the last hiding place for a living terror. Its silence is its greatest weapon. To continue this critical search, to purchase the necessary ultra-deep water sonar arrays and the high-resolution, pressure-compensated cameras that can finally pierce the veil of the Hadal Zone, we must secure our funding goal. The abyss is proven. Now we dive into the ancient history of the seafloor. We go back 400 million years to the era of the arthropod. Next, the sea scorpions that defied all extinction events and still hunt today. Today, we unearth 5 of these prehistoric ocean scorpions that should be extinct. We start with the swift trapper, move through the armored fortress, and the beasts that conquered 2 worlds. If these creatures existed today, human history would look very different. They were massive leviathans built from pure, unadulterated predation. They are the biological nightmares that should be confined to the fossil record, but their existence is a cold, hard fact. But you must stay for the last one, because the final creature was the largest arthropod to ever live, a 10-foot titan whose sheer, ungodly scale made the megalodon look like a footnote. This is the truth about the monsters that ruled the primordial seas. Number 5. Mixopterus. Our journey into the darkest chapters of paleontology begins with our 5th terrifying subject, the Mixopterus. This creature, existing during the late Silurian period, introduced a new level of horror to the marine ecosystem through the brutal specialization of its grasping limbs. While not the largest on our list, typically reaching lengths of around 3 feet, the Mixopterus was a master of ambush and retention, a predator that solved the problem of catching fast, slippery prey with a terrifying organic trap. The most striking and disturbing feature of the Mixopterus was its pair of enormous, highly modified second walking legs. These limbs were evolutionary masterpieces of capture. They were massive, elongated, and possessed numerous robust joints, allowing for a wide, lightning-fast swing. But the true horror lay in their design. Each of these appendages was heavily lined with long, fixed, razor-sharp spines. These spines were angled inward, ensuring that once the limb closed around its prey, escape was literally impossible. Imagine a heavily armored creature hiding in the dense weeds or under rocks, waiting for an unsuspecting trilobite or early fish to swim past. In a blur of motion, the Mixopterus would thrust out these spined arms, sweeping the victim into its body. The action was less a pincer attack and more a violent embrace of razor wire, quickly incapacitating the prey by tearing the flesh and securing it for the smaller chelicerae to process. This made the Mixopterus a highly effective hunter in complex, cluttered environments, such as reefs and shallow coastal zones where agile fish sought shelter. It did not need the raw speed of others. It needed only to wait, deploy its organic trap, and watch its victim bleed out into the water. Its dominance was a chilling testament to the power of specialized limbs in the evolutionary arms race. Next, we move to a creature of slightly greater size that preferred a straight-shot kill. Our number 4 predator used its specialized claws with surgical, hydrodynamic precision. Number 4. Acuteramus. Our descent into the primeval abyss of ancient terror begins with the 4th most impressive, yet no less chilling, of these sea scorpions, Acuteramus. This creature was the swift assassin of the early Devonian, a masterclass in streamlined, hydrodynamic precision and specialized killing. While the sea scorpions of this era are generally defined by overwhelming size, Acuteramus offered a different, more chilling proposition: the perfection of the kill through speed. It was a machine built for rapid interception and flawless execution. The average Acuteramus was a massive beast, capable of reaching lengths of up to 7 feet. Its body plan was the epitome of a predatory torpedo, narrow, segmented, and designed to minimize drag. This morphology allowed it to cut through the water column with a terrifying velocity, a sudden, dark blur in the murky coastal ecosystems it called home. It was the absolute opposite of the slow, grinding hunters of the deep. It was the hunter of the open, shallow seas where vision and speed were paramount. But the real, true horror of Acuteramus lay in its grotesque and highly specialized primary weapons, its chelicerae. These were not the crushing claws of a lobster. They were elongated, multi-jointed, scissor-like appendages that terminated in a wicked, sickle-shaped pincer. Crucially, these pincers were not smooth. They were lined with a series of incredibly sharp, interlocking teeth, giving the impression of a massive pair of prehistoric surgical shears. These claws were purpose-built not for crushing, but for rapid slicing, secure gripping, and devastating tearing of soft tissues or the vulnerable membranes between the armor plates of its prey. Paleontological evidence suggests that Acuteramus preferred to target the rapidly evolving early-jawed fish and the vast, slow-moving populations of trilobites. It would exploit its hydrodynamic advantage to ambush its victims, closing the distance in a sudden, violent, high-speed rush. Once engaged, the slicing claws would come into play, rapidly securing the prey while simultaneously dismembering it. The speed of this action, combined with the gruesome efficiency of the commissary, meant that any creature caught in its grasp had mere seconds before its fate was sealed. Its sophisticated hunting technology was further supported by its visual acuity. Acuteramus possessed prominent compound eyes that offered an almost panoramic field of view, allowing it to track and anticipate the movements of its prey in the relatively clear coastal waters. It was a relentless pursuer, a biological instrument honed to an edge of terrifying perfection. This creature truly defined the concept of specialized predation in the Paleozoic seas, relying on its agility to outmaneuver the more lumbering life forms of its time. Its power was absolute, yet defined by precision. This raises the critical question of survival. How did any creature survive the attack of an animal built for such surgical, relentless speed? The next creature's answer was becoming a biological fortress. But first, if these primeval predators are redefining what you thought was possible in the ancient world, hit the like button and subscribe now to join our next expedition into deep time. Number 3. Hibbertopterus. If the Acuteramus was the specialized swift assassin, our number 3 prehistoric ocean scorpion, Hibbertopterus, represents a terrifying counter-strategy, the armored siege engine built for absolute survival and inevitable consumption. Existing across the late Devonian and into the Carboniferous periods, this was a creature that entirely rejected speed and agility, favoring instead a philosophy of overwhelming, terrifying impenetrability. While its maximum length of around 6 feet makes it seem slightly less colossal than others on this list, its sheer mass, width, and defensive engineering make it a unique and truly disturbing nightmare. It was built extremely low to the ground, with a broad, massive, and heavily arched carapace that gives it the profile of a terrifying, self-propelled bunker. It was the very definition of a biological fortress, a slow-moving dreadnought that feared nothing in the cold, primordial depths. The horror of Hibbertopterus is rooted in its defensive mastery. Its entire body, from the carapace down to the very edges of its segmented tail, was covered in incredibly thick, heavily tuberculated plating. This dense, bumpy texture was not merely decorative. It was a form of integrated armor that would have made it virtually impossible for the teeth, primitive jaws, or crushing claws of any contemporary predator to gain purchase or breach the shell. This armor was its license to ignore all threats. It moved with a slow, deliberate, almost inexorable creep across the soft, muddy seabed, an unstoppable force in the benthic environment. But it is the feeding strategy of the Hibbertopterus that truly solidifies its claim as a creature that should be extinct. It did not hunt with the slashing violence of Acuteramus, nor the brute force of others on this list. Instead, Hibbertopterus developed an utterly unique and frankly disturbing method of predation: sweep feeding or vacuum feeding. Its 4 anterior walking legs were not used for locomotion. They were highly specialized appendages covered in dense, fine, outward-facing bristles resembling an enormous, organic brush or rake. As the massive, armored body lumbered across the soft, organic-rich seabed, the creature would use these specialized appendages to rapidly sweep and disturb the substrate. This action would stir up the mud, dislodging and suspending all the small, soft-bodied organisms, worms, and organic detritus hidden within the silt. The creature would then utilize a highly specialized structure in its mouth, a feeding chamber with internal spines, to effectively vacuum up the disturbed muddy water, ingesting everything indiscriminately. This method paints a picture of absolute, terrifying efficiency, an unstoppable, heavily armored behemoth, not chasing its prey, but simply consuming the ground it walks upon. It was the ultimate non-selective, environment-erasing feeding machine, eliminating all life in its path, simply by processing the very foundation of the ecosystem. The Hibbertopterus was the ruler of the oxygen-poor depths, content to scrape the ocean floor clean of all life. But our number 2 was so ambitious, it defied the sea itself and crawled out of the water to hunt. We discussed the proof that one of these scorpions was the first predator to terrorize 2 different worlds. Number 2, Megalograptus. The mere name, Megalograptus, translates roughly to great writing thing, a mild, almost academic descriptor that utterly fails to capture the sheer scale and biological horror of our number 2 prehistoric ocean scorpion. Roaming the Ordovician period, long before the age of fish, Megalograptus was an amphibious apex predator whose very existence smashed the established boundary between aquatic and terrestrial life. It was a groundbreaking, colossal terror whose presence would have darkened the shallow seas and haunted the primordial coastlines. The creature was immense, with a total length often exceeding 5.5 feet, a staggering size for its time. However, the most immediate and truly shocking feature of the Megalograptus was its twin primary appendages. These were not the delicate pincers of a modern arthropod. Instead, imagine two oversized, powerfully articulated limbs, each ending not in a simple grasping claw, but a massive, bulbous, club-like structure that was terrifyingly functional. These clubs were lined with a series of razor-sharp, inwardly curving spines and defensive denticles. These were not just grasping tools, they were spearing, crushing, and pinning instruments designed to lock prey in a devastating, inescapable grip and then puncture or shatter their bodies. The claws were hinged and muscular, capable of delivering immense, rapid trauma to the soft-bodied and lightly armored creatures that made up the Ordovician fauna. This was an offensive weapon of staggering power and complexity, a pre-programmed killing apparatus designed for maximum lethality. But the feature that elevates Megalograptus into the realm of true, groundbreaking terror is the undeniable fossil evidence that suggests it was the first terrestrial macropredator. During the Ordovician, life was only beginning its tentative, vulnerable colonization of the barren landmasses. While primitive plants had managed the leap, large animals were confined to the water. Megalograptus, however, possessed muscular, wide paddle-like limbs, initially used for powerful swimming. Crucially, the fossil record includes enormous, perfectly preserved trackways found in what were once tidal flats and coastal muds. These tracks, often over 3 feet wide and found considerable distances from the permanent waterline, are undeniable proof the Megalograptus would intentionally crawl out of the ocean. This amphibious capability was not for basking, it was for hunting. Picture this chilling scenario. You are one of the first small, soft-bodied pioneers of the terrestrial ecosystem, bravely venturing onto the ancient, misty mudflats to feed on early microbial mats. Suddenly, a 6-foot armored behemoth, covered in spines and ending in gigantic, spiked clubs, emerges from the receding tide. It is an image of pure, primeval, inescapable horror. For a critical period, the Megalograptus was the unchallenged, unstoppable lord of 2 domains, an amphibious nightmare terrorizing life from the tidal zone to the shallow pools. It was a giant, but the king awaits. The final creature on our list is the reason the entire era is named after its dominance. Its sheer scale will redefine what you believe is possible in nature. But before we unleash the greatest predator on this list, the absolute king of the Eurypterids, if this journey into the abyss has stirred your own deep-time fears, then take a moment to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Now let us conclude our countdown with the 10-foot Leviathan that was the ultimate, horrifying peak of invertebrate evolution. Number 1, Pterygotus. We have examined speed, armor, and amphibious terror. Now we arrive at the absolute, final word in prehistoric oceanic nightmares. Every animal on this list is an aberration, but there is one that stands above them all, a creature whose dominance was so complete and its physical size so overwhelming that its fossil discoveries often look like pieces of science fiction. Our number 1 prehistoric ocean scorpion is the Pterygotus. This creature was not merely a large predator, it was the supreme, undisputed apex predator of the Silurian and early Devonian periods. Its sheer ungodly size places it in a category of its own, a true, chitinous leviathan reaching an absolute, staggering length of 8 to 10 feet. Allow that number to sink in. Imagine a creature longer than a king-sized bed, heavier than a large refrigerator, built from segmented armor plating, possessing 8 jointed legs, powerful swimming paddles, and a massive, flexible tail. This was the unchallenged monarch of its world, a giant arthropod that outweighed and outmatched every contemporary fish, early shark, and primitive jawless creature. Its very existence enforced a brutal, cold-blooded reign of terror that spanned millions of years. The Pterygotus achieved its ultimate apex status through a brutal combination of sheer, overwhelming scale and a final, horrifying evolutionary refinement of the killing claw. Its primary offensive weapons, its chelicerae, were gigantic, elongated, and ended in what paleontologists refer to as racket-like cutting and crushing pincers. These claws were not just large, they were meticulously serrated and perfectly designed for maximum leverage. They could not only grasp and hold the slipperiest of prey with inescapable force, but they were also powerful enough to crush the heavy shells of trilobites and slice through the reinforced armor plates of the heavily armored placoderm fish, which were only beginning to evolve. Its immense size meant that Pterygotus could ambush and dispatch any living thing in its ecosystem. Furthermore, the enormous size and sophisticated structure of its compound eyes suggest it was also a visually oriented hunter, patrolling the shallow, productive coastal seas with a cold, unrelenting, and efficient focus. The creature was the ultimate expression of the predatory ideal, a silent, unstoppable engine of destruction. The sheer overwhelming scale and the perfection of the Pterygotus's design made its existence a nightmare for all other life. It was a hunter so perfectly adapted, so overwhelmingly powerful, that the only thing that could challenge its dominance was the slow, inexorable forces of evolution itself, which would eventually lead to the rise of the fast, agile, true bony fish that would eventually dethrone the arthropod kings. The Pterygotus stands as the ultimate symbol of sea scorpion terror, a 10-foot armor titan, the most complete and horrifying expression of invertebrate nightmare the world has ever known. What ancient terror on this list do you think should have been allowed to survive? Let us know in the comments below. We have survived the ancient past, but some creatures challenge not time, but logic itself. This next organism is a biological anomaly so vast, so silent, and so rare that for a century, scientists believed it was just a ghost story. Next, the creature they filmed in the deep ocean that shouldn't exist. A group of divers descended near an abandoned oil rig off the coast of the Pacific, expecting nothing more than rusted debris and silence. The mission was routine: survey the wreckage, inspect structural integrity, and perhaps capture footage of the eerie marine life that often gathers around these forgotten steel skeletons. They were prepared for darkness, maybe a few flashes of movement, but what they captured should not exist. The footage leaked only once, shared briefly on a dark corner of the internet, then vanished. And what it shows defies everything we understand about biology. It doesn't resemble any known species. It moved like nothing cataloged by science. No bones, no symmetry, no visible organs. Just a pulsating mass, undulating in silence, reacting visibly to both light and sound. Some say it's a form of deep-sea life we've never encountered. Others say it's not from Earth at all. But before we go any further, you need to see it. This specific segment, the one that rattled the crew to their core, lasted exactly 9 seconds. The raw footage shows a bioluminescent form hovering just meters from the diver's camera. It doesn't swim. It doesn't float. It just moves gently, almost hypnotically, like it's breathing in slow motion. No face, no eyes, just this shifting, translucent horror, glowing softly in cold blues and violent purples, like it was made of thoughts instead of matter. When reviewed by a marine biologist, the footage was dismissed instantly as a jellyfish anomaly. But a forensic video analyst, one who specializes in underwater phenomena, saw something more. Frame by frame, slowed to fractions of a second, the creature's movement became intentional. It didn't just hover. It mirrored, matched, mimicked, almost as if, he wrote, it was learning. This wasn't a passive encounter. It was interaction, a silent, chilling dance with the unknown. And then the consequences came. After the dive, one of the crew members never resurfaced. The others, silent. They emerged pale, shaken, visibly traumatized, and bound by strict non-disclosure agreements. Their footage was deleted from every known database. Hard drives wiped clean, cloud backups gone. All but this one clip. Corrupted, fragmented, forgotten, but real. So the question remains, what exactly did they encounter? Could it have been a previously undiscovered deep-sea life form, something that evolved so far from surface life that it no longer shares features with anything we know? Or was it part of a clandestine military bioweapon experiment, escaped and now lurking in places where few dare to look? Or worse, was it something ancient, something that's been there longer than we've existed, something not bound by our biology or our laws of life? The ocean is vast. Over 80% of it remains unexplored, and that's not by accident. Because what if this isn't the only footage? What if this isn't even the first? In classified circles, there are whispers of similar encounters, strange shapes near trenches, static disruption near sonar scans, deep-sea shadows that move like predators but leave no heat, no tracks, no explanation. One such case, a black box fragment recovered near the Mariana Trench, dated 2006. The diver's final transmission.
It's not following me. It's waiting.
We may never get all the answers, and maybe that's the point. But if this footage is real, if even a part of it is real, then everything we know about Earth's oceans changes. Because then it's not about believing in sea monsters. It's about asking why we've stopped looking for them. And just maybe, why some don't want us to. This isn't the end. In fact, it's only the beginning. We've seen the impossible ghost of the deep, but we save the most intelligent, most alien terror for last. Next, we present the top 3 cephalopods, the true masters of disguise and intelligence, including the colossal creature from our thumbnail. The octopus is the single most intelligent invertebrate on Earth. Its brain structure, its distributed nervous system, and its capacity for complex problem-solving are unmatched by anything without a spine. It is a sentient machine housed in a soft shell of muscle and cunning. What happens when that sophisticated, planning intelligence is merged with the brutal, hostile, and disassociative horror of the deep-sea environment? We saved the most visually impossible creatures for this segment. The following 3 cephalopods are not just monsters, they are conscious, thinking entities that prove the abyss is a dimension of true, intelligent nightmares. They defy chemistry, defy physics, and defy the very laws of visibility. Prepare for the top 3, the most alien cephalopods that defy biology. Number 3, the glass octopus. Our countdown begins in the mesopelagic zone, the twilight zone, but involves a creature that has mastered the art of functional invisibility. At first glance, the glass octopus appears to be nothing more than a shimmering, gelatinous mirage. Its body is almost entirely transparent, a perfect hydrodynamic crystal suspended in the perpetual gloom. It is the ultimate ghost of the deep, a creature whose only defense is that its entire internal architecture is visible to the naked eye. This transparency is a radical biological decision. In the deep sea, light from above is faint, but predators from below are always looking up. By becoming transparent, the octopus eliminates its silhouette entirely, offering nothing for a deep-sea shark or large fish to fixate on. It blends not by color or texture, but by total negation of physical presence. Yet its invisibility is incomplete, and that is where the terror resides. You can see the blueprint of its intelligence. If you look closely, 3 organs remain visible, creating an eerie, almost holographic effect: the optic nerve, the complex digestive glands, and most prominently, the 2 crescent-shaped eyeballs. These organs must maintain their pigment and density to function, meaning they stand out like glowing internal beacons within the field of glass. It is a paradox of vulnerability and perfection. The glass octopus is a genius of disguise that cannot fully hide the tools of its intellect or the machinery of its consumption. The glass octopus is a triumph of camouflage at the expense of all physical armor. But what happens when transparency is not an option and the only solution is to build an armor out of pure water? Our next cephalopod operates in a dimension of total physical destruction. Number 2, the Dumbo octopus. We leave the twilight zone behind and dive into the crushing darkness of the abyssal zone, often below 13,000 feet. This depth is the realm of the Dumbo octopus, the deepest living of all known cephalopods. The sheer physical horror of its environment, pressures that exceed 6,000 pounds per square inch, capable of flattening a steel submarine hull, is entirely contradicted by its appearance. This is the creature that challenges our cognitive functions, forcing a moment of disassociation. It is impossibly cute, yet terrifyingly adapted. Named for the large, ear-like fins that sprout from the top of its bell-shaped mantle, reminiscent of Disney's flying elephant, the Dumbo octopus uses these appendages to gracefully paddle and navigate the frigid, near-freezing water just above the seafloor. The dissonance is jarring. How could a creature that looks like a whimsical, soft-bodied cartoon character survive in an environment where rock itself begins to fracture? The answer lies in the total surrender of complexity. Its soft, gelatinous body is not a weakness. It is a meticulously evolved biological armor. At these extreme depths, heavy mineralized structures, like bone, shell, or hard muscle, are brittle and prone to structural failure. The Dumbo octopus eliminates this problem entirely. Its tissues have evolved to maintain the exact same density as the surrounding water, making it immune to the pressure. Its body is a sophisticated, pressure-resistant hydrosuit. This soft, pliable form is also energy efficient. It doesn't rely on the powerful jet propulsion common in shallower octopuses. Instead, it glides using the ears and its webbing of short arms to drift and catch prey, mostly copepods, worms, and small crustaceans that it simply engulfs whole. It is a creature of maximal biological economy. We have seen the invisible ghost and the creature that laughs at pressure. But now we reveal the one creature whose colossal size and highly developed intelligence confirm the greatest, most primal fear of all. The sea contains sentient monsters that can plan, learn, and outsmart us. Number 1. The giant Pacific octopus. This is not a myth. This is not the deep abyss. This is your coastal nightmare. The giant Pacific octopus is the largest and most intelligent octopus species, growing to colossal size, with recorded weights exceeding 150 pounds and arm spans reaching over 30 feet. This creature is not relegated to the lightless trenches. It lives in the frigid waters of the North Pacific, often inhabiting the rocky crevices and shallow kelp forests of the continental shelf, the very areas where fishing, diving, and human exploration are common. This creature's size is only half the threat. Its intelligence is the other. The GPO is the marine equivalent of a non-human mastermind. Documented studies have repeatedly shown GPOs executing feats of advanced problem-solving that are supposed to be exclusive to vertebrates. A monster that is both gigantic and possesses the ability to learn, plan, and execute complex strategies is the ultimate thalassophobia trigger. This creature can open a screw-top jar, dismantle a scuba regulator, and emerge from a hole the size of its own eyeball, all while weighing over 100 pounds and spanning the length of small bus. The GPO is the proof that the ocean's intelligence is immense and physically overwhelming. It exists not just in the fantasy of a colossal squid, but in the sentient, multi-limbed architect hiding in the rocks just off your coastline. Its sheer scale combined with its planning capacity confirms the greatest fear of all. The deep sea is populated by highly developed, sentient beings who watch, learn, and plot their existence entirely outside of our awareness. If you are still watching, you are part of the 1% who truly wants to know the truth about our oceans. We are currently analyzing the most unexplained biological signatures ever recorded. Use the comments to tell us, which of these anomalies do you think is being hidden from us right now? Now, let's move on to the massive sea creatures caught on camera. We are counting down the 8 most colossal deep-sea monsters ever captured on camera. From hidden giants of the abyssal plain only recently brought to light, to living titans once thought to exist only in legend. Every entry on this list is based on irrefutable, verified evidence, footage that has been cross-referenced and authenticated by marine biologists and deep-sea exploration teams. Forget the myths. This is the science. These are the 8 creatures that have forced us to rewrite the textbooks. Let's start the countdown of the 8 massive sea creatures caught on camera. Number 8. The giant sea pen. To properly appreciate the titans of the deep, we must first shatter your understanding of what normal deep-sea life looks like. Our countdown begins with the creature that breaks the rule of scale for its entire family, the giant sea pen. In shallow waters, a sea pen is a delicate, hand-sized organism, a cluster of tiny, feeding polyps, fragile and almost floral in appearance. This creature, however, is a monstrosity of scale. Discovered in the abyssal plains near the Johnston Atoll in the Pacific, a research vessel's camera descended 10,000 feet and caught sight of something that seemed to hover, motionless, against the desolate seafloor. It was a single stalk, impossibly slender, rising from the mud, crowned with a ring of long, barbed tentacles. But was its height that caused chaos on the research vessel's live feed. This specimen towered nearly 7 feet from its base to its feeding tip. 7 feet. Think about that, an organism that looks like an oversized dandelion, a plant-like creature of delicate polyps, standing taller than most human beings, rooted in the crushing blackness of the abyssal zone. For perspective, the stalk itself was barely thicker than a human arm, demanding an explanation for how it could possibly support such a structure against the deep-sea currents and the relentless pressure. The pressure at that depth is roughly 4,500 pounds per square inch, enough to flatten a car. And yet, this biological marvel stands tall, perfectly rigid, surviving where no terrestrial structure of similar proportions could. The initial discovery involved the ROV Deep Discoverer in 2016 during the Okeanos Explorer expedition. The scientists were specifically looking for corals and anemones, anticipating life measured in inches. When the 7-foot structure drifted into the frame, the initial reaction was confusion, quickly turning to awe. The colossal size required a complete re-evaluation of the sea pen's taxonomy and life history. Most shallow water sea pens retract instantly when disturbed. This deep-sea giant remains steadfast, demonstrating a structural rigidity necessary to filter feed in the slow, but persistent, abyssal currents. The crown of this giant, the bioluminescent polyps, were arranged in an impossible, intricate pattern, each tentacle stretching 16 inches long, poised and armed for feeding. This is not passive life. This is an ambush predator that camouflages itself as a structure. The polyps, known as autozooids, are specialized for food capture, snatching microorganisms as they drift past. Furthermore, the giant sea pen is known to be bioluminescent, emitting a ghostly green glow when disturbed, a possible defensive mechanism to startle predators or attract mates across the vast distances of the abyssal plain. The giant sea pen is irrefutable evidence that even the simplest forms of deep-sea life have evolved to scale, to colossal size, to survive the pressures and scarcity of the deep. It challenges every assumption about how much biomass the deep-sea mud can support. If a sea pen can grow this large, what truly colossal, simple organism is anchored out there? If the giant sea pen proves that even the simplest life can grow to monstrous proportions, our next creature proves that the ancient legends of massive, shimmering sea serpents are not only true, they are merely descriptions of a real 56-foot verifiable fish. Number 7. The giant oarfish. For millennia, sailors returning from the open ocean have told tales of massive, shimmering sea serpents, dragons of the deep, often sighted in moments of distress before a storm or an earthquake. These stories were universally dismissed as folklore, until the giant oarfish provided the irrefutable evidence. This creature is the physical manifestation of the sea serpent myth. It is the longest bony fish in the entire world, reaching confirmed lengths of up to 56 feet and potentially more. It is a creature that is literally as long as a massive semi-truck trailer, swimming vertically in the water column. The oarfish is a ribbon of pure, silvery muscle, topped with a dramatic, scarlet crest that runs the length of its head and back, often glowing with a mesmerizing iridescence. The scales are absent. Instead, its skin is protected by a thin, silvery layer known as guanine, which rubs off easily, leading to its frequent classification as gelatinous upon beaching. The proof of its existence often comes in the most dramatic and terrifying way, when they wash ashore. Because they are deep-sea creatures, any sighting near the surface usually means they are sick, dying, or have been violently propelled toward the coast by seismic activity. The presence of such a massive, sinuous creature on the surface is so rare that coastal cultures have long associated it with impending disaster, specifically earthquakes, as the seismic activity disturbs the deep-sea floor where it lives. When a 50-foot-long, silvery red carcass is found decaying on a beach, it is instantly recognizable as the source of countless sea serpent legends. Scientists, including those from NOAA, have verified these sightings time and again, pulling DNA from the remains of these behemoths. The sheer volume of verifiable beachings, particularly after deep-sea disturbances, has silenced every skeptic. One famous 18-foot specimen washed up on a California beach in 2013, requiring over 15 people to move it. Furthermore, remote cameras have captured the oarfish alive in its deep-sea environment. The footage shows the oarfish swimming in a near-vertical posture, undulating its long dorsal fin like a massive, silvery ribbon, a movement that would perfectly mimic a gigantic sea serpent rising from the waves, just as the ancient mariners described. This vertical orientation helps it scan the waters above for prey and plankton. The sheer, terrifying elegance of this living serpent is a verified fact. The monsters of legend are real. Its existence is a stunning crossover event between folklore and verifiable marine biology, proving that sometimes the most outlandish stories are the most true. The oarfish connects mythology to marine biology with its serpentine grace. But what if a creature evolved to possess a structure that defies all biological symmetry? a monster that looks less like an organism and more like a massive, walking alien spider. Our next monster is, without question, the single most bizarre structural anomaly ever filmed in the deep. Number 6. The Big Fin Squid. If you want proof that the deep ocean is home to life from another planet, look no further than the Big Fin Squid. Its structure is so profoundly bizarre that it immediately breaks the mold of what a cephalopod should look like. This creature is not just large, it is alien, defying logic in its proportions and form. The first documented footage, often retrieved from oil rig cameras or highly specialized deep-sea missions, shows the big fin hanging motionless in the water column, thousands of meters down. It is a creature of terrifying stillness and scale. Its arms and tentacles, the defining feature, are exceptionally long and impossibly thin, extending often 20 times the length of its main body, or mantle. This means a big fin with a 3-foot mantle can have tentacles stretching over 60 feet. No other organism on Earth, terrestrial or marine, exhibits this kind of colossal disproportionate growth. But the true, unsettling horror of the big fin squid is its posture. Unlike the coiled, dynamic tentacles of the giant squid, the big fin's appendages are held stiffly. They feature distinct right-angle elbows where the arms bend and then hang down in a mesmerizing, massive basket-like net that drags far below the creature. The appearance is that of a gigantic, floating tripod or spider walking on the seabed. This posture is unique to Magna Pinna and is believed to allow it to passively fish the abyssal plain, snagging any small, unfortunate organism that drifts into its massive, invisible net. It is the definition of a sit-and-wait predator, using its colossal length not for speed, but for sheer coverage of the water column. The footage is rare, fleeting, and highly sought after because every frame reinforces its otherworldly nature. The initial observations from Shell oil rig cameras in the Gulf of Mexico, confirmed by subsequent expeditions, have provided the definitive proof of its existence and its bizarre locomotion. When one of these creatures is spotted, it tends to hold the same position for hours, slowly drifting with the currents, using its tentacles like gigantic, sensory fishing lines. The pressure at the depths where it is found, between 4,000 and 8,000 meters, is immense, yet its ultra-thin, almost transparent tentacles remain perfectly rigid due to its unique skeletal and muscular structure. No other creature on Earth possesses this structural complexity combined with such radical, disproportionate scale. The big fin squid is irrefutable evidence that the rules of gravity and biomechanics are completely rewritten in the deep, allowing for the existence of massive, structural anomalies that look like machines, not biology. The big fin squid is structurally alien and utterly passive. But our next creature is a colossus of pure, ancient power, a living fossil that has patrolled the ocean floor for 200 million years, captured on camera, and confirmed to be bigger than the sub that filmed it. Number 5. The blunt-nosed six-gill shark. Long before the first Tyrannosaurus rex walked the Earth, long before the continents had even settled into their current positions, the blunt-nosed six-gill shark was already prowling the world's oceans. Its lineage stretches back over 200 million years to the Triassic period. This creature is a time capsule of terror, a living relic of the dawn of deep-sea predation. In 2019, a team aboard OceanX's submersible dove to 2,500 meters off the Bahamas, a depth where this giant normally lurks, though it occasionally hunts closer to the surface at night. The lights of the sub pierced the black water, and then, out of the primordial gloom, a massive shape appeared. It was a six-gill shark, easily measuring nearly 20 feet from nose to tail, and weighing more than 1,000 kilograms. The crew's voices, barely above a whisper, captured the sheer, visceral terror of the moment. One scientist stated on verifiable recording, "That thing is bigger than the sub." The submersible itself measured just over 18 feet, making the shark one of the largest apex predators ever filmed in this deep-sea environment. The six-gill is instantly identifiable by its most primitive trait, six-gill slits. Most modern sharks only have 5. This feature, along with its ancient skeletal structure and large, pale green eyes, marks it as a direct link to the earliest forms of apex predation. The footage shows the shark circling slow and unhurriedly, its massive eye fixed on the vessel. Every movement suggested age, immense power, and perfect adaptation to the perpetual night. Its teeth are another tell. The lower teeth are wide, sharp, and comb-like, perfectly designed for shearing large chunks of flesh and bone from massive, deceased prey, marking it as a powerful deep-sea scavenger and opportunistic hunter. Its eyes are a fascinating adaptation to the darkness. Lacking the reflective tapetum lucidum found in most shallow-water sharks, its large, iridescent green eyes are optimized for collecting every stray photon, giving it superior night vision for deep-sea hunting and scavenging. This ancient design has allowed it to outlast almost every other major species of marine life. The ability to survive the multiple mass extinction events that decimated its relatives is a testament to its brutal, ancient efficiency. The researchers, in a precise, high-risk operation, prepared a satellite tag designed to slip beneath its tough skin. They waited until the colossal animal drew close, deployed the tag with a precise shot, and watched as the 20-foot-long living fossil vanished back into the black. The tag would track its migrations, offering a rare glimpse into the life of a deep-sea predator that has remained unchanged for geological epochs. For the scientists, this was more than a thrill. It was a verifiable meeting with prehistory, a documented fact that ancient, colossal monsters still dominate the darkest parts of our ocean. The proof is tagged, tracked, and swimming right now. The sixth gill is a monster of ancient efficiency. But if ancient life can survive unchanged, what if life can flourish where nothing should exist at all? Our next entry is not a single beast, but an entire, thriving, alien metropolis built on poison and geothermal heat, proving that colossal life forms entire civilizations where the sun never shines. Number 4. The Hadal Trench Communities. The scientific community once held a core, undeniable assumption about life on Earth. Complex ecosystems require the energy of the sun. The Hadal Zone, the deepest trenches below 20,000 feet, was assumed to be a barren wasteland, too cold, too dark, and too pressurized for anything but scattered, desperate scavengers. That assumption has been proven catastrophically wrong. In 2024, a Chinese research team sent their deepest diving submersible, the Fendu, into the Hadal trenches of the Western Pacific, specifically the Mariana and Yap trenches. At a staggering 31,000 feet below the surface, where the pressure is over 1,000 times greater than at sea level, enough to crush the integrity of nearly any biological cell, the cameras recorded not a wasteland, but a dense, thriving, alien metropolis. This is certified footage of an entire ecosystem that has rewritten the rules of life, confirming that the very floor of the ocean is a hotbed of colossal, previously unseen life. The cameras revealed huge clusters of white tube worms, some stretching nearly 5 feet tall, tangled together in vertical forests that defy the surrounding mud. Around them, beds of pale mollusks, deep-sea shrimp, and spiky, unidentified invertebrates crowded the seafloor, moving slowly, sustained by an impossible food source. This community is powered not by photosynthesis from above, but by chemosynthesis, microbes that draw energy from toxic hydrogen sulfide and methane seeping through volcanic fissures in the Earth's crust. They are literally thriving off poison and geothermal heat. This is a revolutionary concept, an entire biological city independent of the surface world. The density and complexity of life at this crushing pressure defied every model in marine biology. The lead principal investigator was quoted saying the scene was like another planet. The organisms possess unique bioluminescence and extreme tolerance to heat and chemical instability. The tube worms in particular lack mouths and digestive tracts, relying entirely on the symbiotic bacteria within their bodies to convert the chemical energy into food. This is an entire city built on internal power, a stunning engineering feat of nature where the creatures are biologically fused with their energy source. The discovery forced scientists to conclude that these massive vents, or black smokers, are essentially underwater islands of energy, concentrating life into dense, colossal clusters that form permanent communities. These creatures have evolved specialized proteins and enzymes that allow their cell walls to remain flexible and functional under pressure that would instantly crystallize and destroy surface-dwelling organisms. The sheer amount of biomass, the number of individual large organisms crammed into these small trenches, is astounding, a verified rebuttal to the theory of deep-sea scarcity. This is a scientific fact. Alien life, complex and colossal, is thriving right now at the lowest points on Earth. If thriving cities exist 31,000 feet down, sustained by subterranean fire, imagine the solitary creatures that swim above them, hunting in the open water. Our next monster is the one that inspired ghost stories for a century. A 33-foot ethereal titan, translucent and beautiful, a living specter now captured, undeniably, on film. A creature that is more net than muscle. Number 3. The giant phantom jellyfish. In 1910, the giant phantom jellyfish was known only from a jar in a museum, a fragmented, gelatinous specimen that seemed too delicate and too enormous to exist in the violent, deep ocean. For a century, only about 100 confirmed sightings would ever be recorded. It became a biological whisper, a myth told among deep-sea scientists. But in 2021, the whispers became deafening reality. The Monterey Bay Aquarium Research Institute's ROV, the Dock Ricketts, descended to 3,200 feet off the California coast. Its cameras, sweeping through the black abyss, captured something that moved with a terrifying, hypnotic grace, a living giant phantom jellyfish. This creature is a spectacle of massive, deliberate movement, built almost entirely of water and terror. The size is the first shock. The animal stretched nearly 33 feet from its bell to the tips of its 4 ribbon-like oral arms. These arms, which look like massive, undulating ribbons of pale flesh, are not just for movement. They are a complex, 30-foot-long biological net. They serve as both propeller and passive trap, drifting and dragging through the water column to ensnare any unsuspecting fish or crustacean. The bell alone can measure up to 1 meter across, translucent and pulsing softly in the ROV's penetrating lights. The tissue is so thin that, when illuminated, you can see straight through its massive, dome-like body, revealing its internal structure. The giant phantom jelly is built for extreme efficiency and stealth. Its translucent, ghost-like form is the perfect camouflage in the perpetual darkness of the twilight zone, making it nearly invisible to prey and predators alike. For the first time, scientists could watch this elusive, colossal giant not as a fragment, but as a complete, living system, slowly hunting in the gloom. The footage proved that this enormous, slow-moving predator is perfectly adapted to survive at depths where the sun's light is reduced to a faint, blue haze, a living ghost story made real. Its primary defense mechanism is its sheer, overwhelming size and the fact that its tissue is so fragile and gelatinous that it provides virtually no nutritional value to anything large enough to consume it. The footage from 2021 was revolutionary because it allowed researchers to confirm its primary mode of capture. The 4 massive oral arms, which look like giant, pale ribbons, act like sticky conveyor belts. Once prey, usually small fish or plankton, brushes against them, the victim is instantly stuck and slowly reeled into the central mouth, a process that can take hours. The entire organism is a massive, drifting biological trap. The rarity of the sightings, only about 230 total documented encounters in over a century, only reinforces its spectral nature, confirming that this 33-foot titan lives almost entirely outside the boundary of human observation. The phantom jelly is the translucent ghost of the deep, colossal and ethereal. But what happens when the abyss produces a monster that is pure reptilian aggression? A creature whose lineage predates the phantom jelly by tens of millions of years and whose terrifying appearance is closer to a snapping serpent than a fish. Our next monster is the verified proof that the snake-like horrors of the deep are not fiction. Number 2. The frilled shark. This creature is the embodiment of a primal, geological terror. The frilled shark is another verified living fossil with an evolutionary history dating back 80 million years. It is a monster that looks like a gigantic, primitive eel or sea serpent designed in the dark. It is not the largest creature on this list by sheer mass, but it is, without question, the most visually terrifying and the closest thing we have to a verified snake-like predator in the deep. The proof of its existence lies in extremely rare footage captured by Japanese researchers in 2007 and later in verified deep-sea trawls off Portugal and Norway. When first brought to the surface, the specimens, often reaching 6 to 6.5 feet in length, immediately shock scientists with their appearance: a long, dark, eel-like body with a massive, snapping head, and 6 pairs of distinctive crimson, frilly gills that give the creature its name. The most terrifying feature, however, is its internal weaponry. The frilled shark possesses nearly 300 teeth, arranged in dozens of rows. Each tooth is backward-facing and trident-shaped, designed not just to pierce, but to ensure that once a victim is caught, there is no escape. The combination of its serpent-like body and its flexible jaw allows it to attack prey with a rapid, striking lunge, swallowing victims half its size whole, a biological mechanism designed for ambush hunting in the nutrient-poor deep. The footage from 2007 was a brief, but chilling, glimpse of the creature alive in a tank, showing its frantic, aggressive movements, but its most crucial scientific verification came from deep-sea trawl captures. These confirm that the frilled shark lives primarily in the water column between 1,500 and 4,000 feet, using its dark color as camouflage in the murky light. Its survival for tens of millions of years proves that this primitive, aggressive, snake-like design is the ultimate form of low-light predation. The frilled shark is a living, slithering nightmare, verifiable proof that some of the most ancient forms of terror still patrol our oceans. The frilled shark is the undisputed reptilian terror of the deep. But we save the absolute monarch for last. We have saved the ultimate neuro-optimized jolt for the end. This creature is the absolute champion of the invertebrate world, the creature with rotating, swivel-hooked arms, the undisputed largest invertebrate on Earth, and it is still waiting, full-sized in the darkness. Number 1. The Colossal Squid. We have arrived at the ultimate deep-sea monster. This is the undisputed, officially verified, largest invertebrate on the planet. This is the colossal squid, and the terrifying truth is that its full-sized adult form has never been filmed. For over a century, the colossal squid existed only as the nightmarish artifacts of its predation. Beaks the size of dinner plates, retrieved from the stomachs of sperm whales, and massive, gelatinous tentacles washed up on Antarctic shores. Scientists examining these clues estimated adult colossal squids to reach up to 46 feet in length and weigh up to 500 kilograms, over half a ton of pure muscle and tissue. To put that in perspective, the giant squid is long but relatively slender. The colossal squid is massive in girth and sheer body mass, an absolute powerhouse built for the Antarctic deep, where its massive bulk helps it survive the freezing temperatures. The key difference, the terrifying neuro-optimized detail, lies in its weaponry. While the giant squid has suckers lined with serrated teeth, the colossal squid's arms are lined with sharp, rotating, three-pronged hooks. These are not suction cups, they are swiveling, predatory grappling tools designed to tear and anchor. These hooks leave deep, unmistakable scars on the bodies of the sperm whales they fight, scars that are often the size of grappling hooks. Analysis of these battle scars, combined with the sheer size of the retrieved beaks, confirms a creature of unparalleled power and aggression. The fact that its hooks are rotational suggests a sophisticated grappling and tearing mechanism that no other animal possesses. The first confirmed footage of a living colossal squid was captured in March 2023 by the Schmidt Ocean Institute's ROV Sebastian, operating near the South Sandwich Islands. The animal was a juvenile, less than a foot long, small by the standards set by the legends, but utterly unmistakable. Its body was transparent, but its arms already showed the beginnings of the lethal, rotating hook-line suckers that make this species unique. This brief encounter, reviewed and validated by leading cephalopod experts, closed a century-long gap between myth and science. The full-sized adult colossal squid remains unseen, a terrifying, massive shadow in the deepest waters of the Southern Ocean. Its eyes, which are wider than a human head, have never met the camera's gaze. The largest invertebrate on Earth is real, verified by a juvenile, and still waiting in the darkness. Its existence proves that the greatest marine monster, the true titan, is still out there, hiding in plain sight, a massive, hook-wielding shadow ready to strike. And now, it's time to continue with the most terrifying monsters found in deep sea. Number 18, Blobfish. We kick off our countdown with a creature that has become an accidental celebrity, yet its true existence is far stranger than its reputation suggests. At number 18, we have the blobfish, the creature that proves the deep sea is a world of impossible physics. The blobfish, often humorously dubbed the world's ugliest animal, is actually a victim of the surface. The images you see are of a fish pulled from its natural habitat, the crushing pressure of depths exceeding 3,000 feet. In its native environment, the pressure keeps its gelatinous body structure firm. But when brought to the surface, the rapid depressurization causes its body to expand and deflate, giving it that bizarre, melting, sad face appearance. Its horror is not in its appearance, but in its absolute adaptation to the deep. The blobfish has almost no muscle mass. Instead, its body is primarily a gelatinous mass with a density slightly less than water. This allows it to float effortlessly just above the seafloor without expending energy, a perfect adaptation for an energy-scarce environment. It doesn't hunt, it drifts, passively engulfing whatever edible material floats by. Its entire life is a state of suspended animation, a profound evolutionary surrender to the forces of the abyss. This creature serves as a chilling reminder that the deep sea operates by rules so alien that even the most famous of its inhabitants are utterly unrecognizable once removed from their pressurized world. Number 17. Stonefish. We take a sharp turn from mythology to extreme, concentrated lethality. At number 17, we have the stonefish, the world's most venomous fish, a master of camouflage that is actively hunting in the shallows. The stonefish is a squat, hideous creature that looks exactly like a lump of rock or a piece of dead coral. Its skin is covered in warty bumps, algae, and sand, giving it perfect murderous camouflage in the tropical and subtropical waters of the Indo-Pacific. It's an ambush predator that often lies motionless for hours, blending flawlessly into the seabed. Its terrifying factor lies in its defense mechanism: 13 razor-sharp dorsal spines, each connected to a pair of large venom sacs. Unlike a jellyfish or a ray, these spines are deployed only when pressure is applied, when something, usually a waiting human, steps on it. The pressure forces the spines to inject an extremely potent neurotoxin capable of causing excruciating, unimaginable pain, tissue necrosis, and often, rapid death if antivenom is not administered quickly. The initial pain is so intense that victims have reportedly begged for amputation. This is silent, agonizing, and almost guaranteed biological destruction from a creature you will literally never see until it is too late. It is a biological landmine disguised as a stone, an inescapable peril in the very places humans love to swim. Number 16. Giant Moray Eel. Dropping into the dark crevices of the reef and the deep sea caves, we encounter a creature that is pure reptilian menace, the giant moray eel. This is not a fish. It is a muscular, powerful ambush predator that can exceed 8 feet in length and weigh over 60 pounds, possessing a visceral, unsettling presence. The moray eel's body is all muscle, coiled and hidden within its lair, only its gaping, dark mouth visible. They appear perpetually aggressive because they must constantly open and close their mouths to breathe, drawing water over their gills. This exposes a jaw armed with multiple rows of needle-sharp, recurved teeth designed for seizing and tearing flesh. But the true terror of the moray eel is its pharyngeal jaw. It possesses a second set of jaws deep within its throat, armed with even more teeth. Once the primary jaws latch onto prey, the secondary jaws shoot forward, grab the prey, and drag it deep into the esophagus, an act of horrifying, double-jawed predation. This is the only fish known to use this shocking, alien mechanism, usually only seen in creatures like the terrifying xenomorph from cinema. Morays are not inherently aggressive toward humans, but they are fiercely territorial and possess the power to inflict catastrophic, tearing wounds, earning them a rightful place as one of the most unsettling, dual-jawed monsters of the intermediate depths. Number 15. Crown-of thorn starfish. We start our countdown not in the crushing blackness, but in the deceptive beauty of the coral reef, a world threatened by a monster of pure biological plague. This is the crown-of-thorn starfish, and it is one of the ocean's most effective and terrifying destroyers. Imagine a starfish, but instead of the gentle texture you might feel in your hand, this creature is covered in sharp, venomous spines up to 2 inches long, looking less like a sea star and more like a medieval weapon. These spines contain a potent neurotoxin capable of causing excruciating, lasting pain in humans, but its true horror is directed toward the coral reef itself. This creature is the reef killer. It has the ability to effectively unhinge its stomach, pushing the sac-like organ out of its mouth and onto the coral surface. It then digests the living tissue of the coral externally, dissolving it with enzymes and consuming the polyps, leaving behind a sterile, bleached white coral skeleton. A single crown-of-thorn starfish can destroy 6 square meters of coral reef every year. When populations explode into plague proportions, which they frequently do, they can eradicate vast, ancient swaths of coral in months, turning vibrant, living ecosystems into graveyards. Its beauty is a lie, its sting is pure agony, and its feeding ritual is a slow, digestive terror that dismantles the foundation of marine life. It is the perfect introduction to biological horror. Number 14. squidworm. Now we break the rules of biology entirely. Dropping into the midwater zone, a domain of perpetual drift, we find a creature that appears to be a biological mistake, the squidworm. Discovered only in 2007 near the Philippines at depths exceeding 9,000 feet, the squidworm is less than 4 inches long, yet its anatomy is a shocking, impossible mess. It looks like a hybrid between a cephalopod and a long, slimy worm, designed by a delirious artist. Its body is mostly transparent, gliding through the water with tiny, paddle-like fins. But its head, that's where the alien strangeness resides. Instead of eyes or recognizable mouth, it possesses 10 long, fleshy appendages that wave and undulate in the dark. 2 of these appendages are long, ribbon-like tentacles used for feeding. The other 8, however, are unique to the squidworm. They are bioluminescent tentacles that glow and curl like tiny, living antennae. Scientists believe these glowing appendages are used not only for sensation, but perhaps for attracting mates or small prey. It's a fragile, gelatinous creature that seems fundamentally unnatural, a floating biological anomaly, swimming with the grace of a broken puppet, relying on its internal, self-generated light to navigate a world where light doesn't exist. The squidworm is a stark reminder that, in the deep, the very concept of a species is constantly being redefined in the most bizarre ways. Number 13. Sarcastic fringehead. We pull back up to the relatively shallow waters of the Pacific coast for a creature that embodies extreme, unpredictable aggression. The sarcastic fringehead. This is the pint-sized psycho of the shallow water. The fringehead itself is a small, slender fish, rarely exceeding a foot in length, often hidden in shells or rock crevices. It's unimposing, even cute, until it opens its mouth. The sarcastic fringehead is perhaps the most territorial creature in the ocean, willing to fight any perceived intruder, including diverse, cameras, and creatures 10 times its size. When 2 fringeheads encounter each other in a territorial dispute, the display is absolutely shocking. They face off, dramatically opening their massive, oversized jaws until they resemble a colossal, hideous funnel. Its mouth is far larger than its head, lined with needle-sharp teeth and expanded skin flaps that look like they belong on a nightmare from a different evolutionary path. The 2 fish will often press their funnel mouths against each other in a terrifying, lip-locking battle of size, a visual display of pure, unadulterated aggression. They look like a pair of flesh-crazed demons having a screaming match. It's a jaw-dropping visual paradox, an unexpected, shocking eruption of primal rage from a creature you could easily step over. The fringehead attacks anything that moves, proving that in the ocean, size is irrelevant when you possess that level of territorial fury. Number 12. Monkfish. Dropping back into the mud and sand of the continental shelf, we encounter the master of deceptive death, the monkfish, often sold commercially as the poor man's lobster, but visually, it is the camouflaged devil. The monkfish is essentially all head and mouth, a gigantic, flat, bottom-dwelling monstrosity. Its body tapers rapidly behind its massive cranium, which is studded with sharp dermal spines and covered in camouflage flaps of skin, allowing it to perfectly melt into the muddy or sandy bottom. Its most terrifying feature is its ability to use its robust pectoral fins not for swimming, but for walking. The monkfish can slowly creep along the seabed, using these fins like powerful feet, often burying itself completely, leaving only its terrifyingly large maw exposed. It doesn't chase prey, it becomes the terrain. Its method of hunting relies entirely on deception and extreme speed. It possesses a modified dorsal fin spine that acts as a flexible, natural fishing lure, which it wiggles enticingly just above its enormous hidden mouth. Any unsuspecting fish drawn to the motion is instantly and violently vacuumed into the gaping void. It's a massive, grotesque trap, a giant head with a mouth full of razor teeth that is actively hunting you while pretending to be a rock. The terror of the monkfish is not its bite, but the realization that the ground you're swimming over might suddenly swallow you whole. Number 11. Banded sea krait. We interrupt our deep-sea countdown to emphasize that the most lethal creatures often lurk in the shallows. The banded sea krait is the shallow water assassin, and its beautiful pattern conceals a venom that is 10 times deadlier than that of a rattlesnake. This snake spends most of its life in the ocean, possessing a distinctive, highly adapted body, a flattened, paddle-like tail for swimming, and bold black and white bands that serve as a brilliant warning pattern. Its terror factor is rooted in two facts: extreme toxicity and false security. Its venom is a potent neurotoxin capable of causing rapid neurological death, paralyzing muscles, and shutting down respiration. A bite, which is often painless initially, is a near guarantee of fatal consequences if untreated. However, unlike its terrestrial cousins, the sea kite is generally non-aggressive toward humans unless directly provoked or handled. They are often curious, approaching divers who mistake their calm demeanor for harmlessness. The kite must return to land to digest, shed its skin, and reproduce. This means that these lethal assassins are constantly migrating between the deep ocean and the coast, crossing paths with unsuspecting swimmers and fishermen. This creature highlights a unique fear: the rapid, silent, biological destruction brought by something impossibly beautiful and calm. It is the perfect blend of elegance and extreme neurological death. Number 10. Black Swallower. Now we dive back to the mid-water depths for a creature that embodies structural horror and grotesque capacity: the black swallower. This fish is small, usually less than 10 inches long, but it is defined by one single, horrifying biological feature: the ability to swallow prey up to 10 times its own mass and twice its length. How does it do this? Its stomach is a highly distensible, enormous sac capable of stretching like a balloon. Its lower jaw also lacks a physical connection to its body, allowing the jaw to swing wide open. It is essentially a living black pipe with teeth. The most disturbing photographs of the black swallower show it dead, floating on the surface, having succumbed to its own gluttony. It often overestimates its capacity, swallowing a fish so large that the enormous carcass inside its stomach decomposes faster than the swallower can digest it. The gases released during this decomposition cause the swallower to bloat up like a grotesque, dark torpedo, forcing it to float uncontrollably to the surface where it dies. Its existence is a testament to the perpetual, desperate hunger of the abyss. It must take the risk of self-destruction every time it feeds because food is so scarce in its environment. The terror here is not just its appearance, but the visual horror of seeing a small creature become engorged and fatally stretched by its ambition, a dark commentary on boundless, destructive consumption. Number 9. Wolffish. Rising slightly into the chilling, deep northern waters, we find a creature built like a brute with a menacing grin: the wolffish. The wolffish is built for raw, physical force. It can reach lengths of nearly 5 feet, and its focus is entirely on crushing armored prey. Its face is dominated by massive, protruding teeth, thick, sharp fangs in the front, designed for gripping and tearing, backed up by powerful, crushing molar teeth lining the back of its jaw and palate. Its diet consists almost entirely of hard-shelled invertebrates: sea urchins, crabs, lobsters, and large mussels. The sound of a wolffish feeding is not a bite or a snap. It's a relentless, powerful crunching sound as it pulverizes shell and exoskeleton. The wolffish itself is often solitary, aggressive, and fiercely protective of its territory, particularly its egg masses. While its movements are slow and deliberate, its sheer dental artillery and the raw power of its jaw are intimidating. It is the canine crusher of the deep, a silent, menacing brute that patrols the seabed, challenging anything that dares to enter its domain. Its terror is the combination of its raw, primal strength and the menacing, almost malevolent appearance of its tooth-filled, powerful maw. Number 8. Zombie worms. This is a creature of pure, unsettling biological body horror: the zombie worms, or O-stacks. This is a creature that has evolved to feed on the dead in the most disturbing way possible. The zombie worms live in the deep sea and specialize in consuming the bones of large marine vertebrates, whales, sharks, and fish, that sink to the seafloor, known as whale falls. They have no mouth and no stomach. How do they eat? They secrete powerful, bone-dissolving acids from specialized root-like structures that burrow directly into the bone marrow. They use symbiotic bacteria within their bodies to help them metabolize the fats and proteins found within the bone itself, consuming the dead from the inside out. The female O-stacks has a plume of feathery gills at the surface of the bone, looking like a strange, fleshy flower. But the males are horrifyingly different. They are tiny, microscopic creatures that live inside the female's body, functioning merely as sperm packets. Hundreds of these microscopic males can reside inside a single female. The O-stacks represents a level of decomposition horror unparalleled in the deep. It turns the massive, armored skeleton of a whale into its own food source through chemical digestion and parasitic reproduction. It is a creature that embodies decay, proving that even the hardest structures in the ocean, bone, are not safe from the relentless, acid-driven hunger of the abyss. Number 7. Viper fish. At number 7, we encounter a creature that has evolved a jaw so ferocious, its own anatomy cannot contain it. This is the viperfish, the living dagger of the abyss. The viperfish is small, rarely exceeding a foot in length, but its profile is dominated by a grotesque imbalance, teeth that are disproportionately massive, long, and needle-sharp. These fangs are so extreme that when the viperfish closes its mouth, the teeth cannot fit inside the jaw. Instead, they curve back, sliding all the way up outside its head, stopping only when the tips rest near its eyes. Think about the destructive, self-destructive nature of this evolution. The creature's very existence is defined by perpetual, terrifying hunger, yet it lives with the permanent risk of piercing its own vital organs. To accommodate these weapons, the viperfish has evolved specialized hinges in its skull and spine, allowing its jaw to swing wide open, almost 90 degrees, to secure its prey. It is designed to be a one-way trap, a terrifying Venus flytrap of the deep. The viperfish is a hunter of the dark zone, often found between 3,000 and 10,000 feet. It does not chase, it illuminates and impales. Its body is riddled with hundreds of tiny, glowing organs called photophores. It hangs motionless in the mid-water, a ghost of light in the blackness, and when a smaller fish swims too close to the subtle, deadly glow, the viperfish strikes with the force and speed of a sprung bear trap, impaling its target on those impossible, self-destructive fangs. This is the horror of overadaptation, a creature so perfectly evolved for killing that its own existence is a continuous, terrifying risk. Number 6. Anglerfish. No countdown of deep-sea terrors is complete without the quintessential monster, the anglerfish. But to truly grasp its terrifying rank, you must look past the glowing lure and understand the truly disgusting nature of its life cycle. The anglerfish, particularly the serratioid species, inhabits the absolute blackness of the bathyal zone, the midnight layer. It is the master of ambush predation, relying on the single most famous organ in the deep sea, the esca, the luminous lure. The lure is a modified dorsal spine, tipped with a bulb containing millions of bioluminescent bacteria. It dangles in the blackness, flashing and flickering with a terrifying, cold light, attracting anything small, curious, or desperate for a meal. The anglerfish itself is a dark, squat, hideous profile, all teeth and jaw, perfectly camouflaged against the lightless background. When the prey approaches the promise of light, the anglerfish opens its cavernous mouth in a fraction of a second, creating a vortex that sucks the victim to its doom. But the real grotesque horror lies in its mating ritual, sexual parasitism. In the dark abyss, finding a mate is harder than finding food. When the tiny, often eyesightless male anglerfish finds a female, a giant by comparison, he doesn't woo her. He bites onto her flank, locking his jaw into her skin. Over time, his body begins to fuse with hers. His lips and tongue dissolve, his blood vessels merge with the female's circulatory system, and his eyes, fins, and internal organs atrophy and vanish. He becomes nothing more than a permanent, useless lump of testes, sustained entirely by the female's blood, waiting for her eggs to ripen. The female may carry 6 or more parasitic males fused to her body, each one a relic of a male that surrendered its independence, mind, and body to become a permanent, living appendage of his mate. The anglerfish is a monster not just of the hunt, but of extreme, body-altering horror, a nightmare of biological modification and total absorption. Number 5. Frilled shark. We rise into the water column and encounter a true living fossil, a creature that hasn't changed its terrifying form since before the dinosaurs ruled the earth, the frilled shark. This creature is pure, ancient, alien horror. Often mistaken for a sea serpent, the frilled shark possesses a long, serpentine body, up to 6 feet long, with 6 pairs of gill slits adorned with frilly, red edges, hence its name. It looks less like a modern shark and more like the mythological leviathans that haunt our oldest stories. Its jaw is the ultimate trap. It is lined with approximately 300 trident-shaped, needle-sharp teeth, arranged in 25 rows. Unlike the tearing, triangular teeth of a great white, the frilled shark's teeth are designed to pierce and hold soft, slippery prey like squid and fish. Once these three-pronged hooks sink in, there is no escape. Its hunting technique is a frightening coil-end strike. It slowly stalks prey in the mid to deep waters, sometimes resting vertically in the water column with its mouth open, its white teeth contrasting sharply with the darkness, a horrifying, subtle lure. When it strikes, it lunges forward like a snake, swallowing its prey whole, and using those trident-like teeth to ensure the victim is secured and dragged down its long, ancient throat. The frilled shark is a time traveler from the Cretaceous period, a shadow from the Age of Giants. Every detail, from its vestigial features to its terrifying, serpentine grace, reminds us that the deep ocean preserves nightmares in their original, untouched form. Number 4. Goblin Shark. At number 4, we have the jump scare movement, the grotesque biomechanical failure, and the ultimate unsettling face in the ocean, the goblin shark. Often called the vampire shark because of its aversion to light, the goblin shark is found in the deep, cold waters worldwide. Its appearance is already unsettling, a pink, flabby, almost translucent body, and a long, shovel-like snout that extends far beyond its actual mouth. Its teeth are tiny, terrifying spikes protruding from its face like thin, white nails. The true terror, however, is unleashed in the moment of attack. Unlike every other shark that must lunge with its whole body, the goblin shark possesses a unique, horrifying weapon, an extensible slingshot jaw. When it detects prey, a complex set of ligaments and muscles allows the entire upper jaw structure to be catapulted forward, shooting out from its face at lightning speed, sometimes reaching a third of its head length in less than a tenth of a second. The strike is a slow-motion nightmare. The hideous, spike-filled jaw flies out, snaps shut on the unsuspecting prey, and then retracts back into the face, all while the shark is swimming at a leisurely pace. It's an act of violent, grotesque biomechanics. This is not a bite, it's an ejection system, designed for deep-sea prey that cannot evade the sudden, horrifying appearance of a spike-filled maw from what seemed like a harmless, flabby snout. The sheer, unexpected nature of the attack makes the goblin shark one of the most mechanically terrifying monsters on this list. Number 3. Deep Blue. We interrupt the deep-sea countdown to recognize the creature that proves you do not have to be an abyssal monster to possess monumental, jaw-dropping terror. At number 3 is Deep Blue, the largest great white shark ever filmed and verified. The great white is a known quantity, the quintessential predator. But Deep Blue defies reality. She is an unprecedented massive specimen, estimated to be over 20 feet long and weighing approximately 2.5 tons, the size of a small truck. Her age is estimated to be over 50 years, making her a matriarch, a veteran of the seas who has simply grown to an impossible, monstrous scale. The terror of Deep Blue is rooted in two things: size and reality. She is not a creature of myth or inaccessible depth. She is a real, documented animal that patrols the waters shared with humanity. The photographs and footage of her dwarfing the divers, her girth and length imposing a physical presence that redefines the word apex, are visceral proof that the Earth still produces monsters of colossal proportions. The fear she generates is a fundamental, evolutionary response. This is the top of the food chain, a perfect predator that has simply been allowed to grow to monumental size, reaching a physical scale that renders all human defense useless. Deep Blue reminds us that the true terror of the ocean isn't always hidden 7 miles down. Sometimes it is swimming silently just beneath the surface, a living, breathing, 2.5-ton reminder of our own fragile position in the food chain. Number 2. Sirens/mermaids. At number 2, we pivot entirely to the psychological, mythological terror that has haunted mariners for thousands of years. Sirens or mermaids, the fear of betrayal and the human-faced lure. Every culture on Earth, from the Greeks and the Norse to the ancient African and Pacific Island nations, possesses a terrifying, consistent myth, beautiful, human-like creatures in the sea that lure men to their deaths. The terror isn't their teeth, it's the promise of intimacy, then sudden, violent dissolution. The myth itself may be the perfect evolutionary response to a few unsettling biological realities of the deep. Consider the deep-sea fish that use bioluminescence to create a terrifying facade, light that promises safety or food, only to deliver death. What if there exists a deep-sea creature that has evolved the most effective lure of all, a human-like appearance? The few disturbing modern accounts that feed this myth are typically dismissed as hoaxes or mass hysteria. However, in the vastness of the unexplored deep, scientists have already found creatures that use mimicry in frightening ways. For instance, the giant phantom jellyfish possesses massive, ribbon-like oral arms that undulate, looking eerily like a strange, ethereal net. If a predatory organism developed bioluminescent patterns and body shapes that, in the flickering, distorted light of the deep, vaguely resembled a human form, the psychological impact alone would be catastrophic. The fear of the siren is the terror of not knowing what you are looking at. It preys on our desire for connection in isolation, our willingness to trust familiarity in a hostile place. The creature at rank 2 is the ancient, terrifying synthesis of deep-sea biology and the deepest human fear, the betrayal of beauty, the death brought by a face that looks exactly like one of our own. It is the monster that breaks the mind before it breaks the body. Number 1, Bobbit Worm. We reach the end of our descent. The ultimate terror is not the largest monster, nor the fastest, nor the most venomous. The greatest fear is the one you never see coming. At number 1, the most terrifying monster found in the deep sea is the Bobbit Worm, the ultimate ambush predator, the ultimate unseen hand of death. The Bobbit Worm is a giant polychaete worm, a creature of pure, brutal, silent violence. It can grow up to 10 feet long, and its body is segmented and covered in beautiful, iridescent colors, a grotesque irony for such a lethal hunter. Its method is simple, relentless, and terrifyingly effective. It buries its massive body deep into the sand or gravel of the seafloor, leaving only a few centimeters of its head exposed. At the front of its head are 5 pairs of antennae, which act as highly sensitive motion detectors, sensing the faintest vibration or current disturbance from a fish swimming above. When the worm detects prey, its large, powerful pharynx, the part of its digestive tract that contains its jaws, shoots out of the sand with shocking speed and force. Its jaws are composed of 2 massive, razor-sharp hooks or mandibles that snap shut like perfectly timed steel traps. The Bobbit Worm is so fast, and its strike is so violent that it often cuts its prey completely in half before the victim even registers that it has been attacked. There is no struggle, no warning, only instantaneous, brutal separation. It then drags the severed remains deep into its hole to be consumed at leisure. It is the perfect assassination, silent, invisible, and irreversible. The terror of the Bobbit Worm is the terror of the unseen. It is the realization that the ground beneath you is not stable earth, but a colossal, multi-limbed, razor-fanged monster patiently waiting for a ripple in the water. It represents the final, ultimate truth of the deep sea. The most terrifying things in the world are not the ones we can see and fight, but the ones that are already too close, buried, waiting for the perfect moment to erase you from existence. If you made it this far, let me know by commenting "done" so I know who's reached this point. And if you want to see more, I invite you to check out this compilation of river monsters. See you there.